What's up, guys? Give me 1 second. I'm not sure if anyone's with me yet, and if you can hear me. If you can, just let me know. Also, you can let me know if my Arctic air here is too loud. It's great because I like it dark and cold, so even when it's like bright out, it keeps it cold for me. But yeah, I wanted to go into the games. What's up, Mohammed? Not much. Feeling a little better than yesterday. I had like some kind of respiratory issue, but I drank some tea. Actually, I got some tea right now, some boiling hot tea, and it definitely helps me. What's up, Chris? What's up, grinning in their face? It's good. I thought it was a good time because it's kind of in the middle of the games. We could talk about what happened in the first game. 3 games. Yeah, of course, right. So that was my one fear with taking the Redskins, given the four. I was like, this looks like your typical 3-point game, or Commanders. My apologies. So I was a little afraid of that, but I do think they'll wind up pulling it off. And I just want to tell you guys something interesting about tea now that I have it. I've gotten pretty sick a few times from altitude sickness. Like you go out west and come out east, your body will have a hard time adjusting. Things like that. Uh, if you get this, it's called Irish sea moss. It's like $50, and it's like it looks like seaweed. And you just boil it into water and boil it into a gel. Then you can put it in your tea. It's got 92 of the 102 human nutrients in it. So it's something I take every day, and when I'm sick, I take more of it, and it really helps. Regarding the NFL, I'm loving the Browns. I think they're setting it up so the Browns win this game. That's one of our picks, which is nice. I'm also liking. I haven't even checked, to be honest, the scores in the last like 10, 15 minutes, but I did see the Browns looking good, Titans looking good. And if you have any questions, always, like I said, just put them in the chat. Let me know, and we'll definitely go over them. Sometimes I get a slight delay. Jets, okay, they're covering as we speak. Oh, it looks like the Jags just scored. Okay, so Jags are up 7-6, which is cool. As you know, the Jags is a game I took because to me it was just a trap. There's some games I take because of metrics, some because of narratives. Uh, to me, if the line is a big enough trap, then, or if it looks like enough of a trap, then I'm always going to go ahead and take the trap game. 9-7. I don't think it's gonna be that low scoring, but they could definitely lose by 2 points, Chris. And that's what people don't understand. They see the 2.5, and they just immediately assume, not everybody, but a lot of people, okay, well, the Ravens are going to win, and if they win, they're going to cover the field goal. And you'll have a lot of games that finish like 21-19 or 23-21, or a team goes for two. Oh, you're saying it's 9-7. Okay, I thought you were saying it was going to finish that way. Yeah, that's cool. So 9-7. Oh, they're losing 9-7. Okay, so right now they cover, but they wouldn't win. So if we could just keep that pace, and that's kind of what with the 2.5. A lot of people will buy the half a point for the three, which you can, but over time you are going to be losing value when you're continuously buying a half a point, a point. So hopefully they cover. I think they cover the two. I think there's a good chance they win. And if you, I went into the reason. So besides the trap part, I also like them to win because I don't think the Ravens need this win. They are who we thought they were. Yeah, some things you just can't unsee. Denny Green was great with that. Again, watching back is even more fun because you can all these great sound bites, playoffs, or you play to win the game. All these things we can kind of see in a better light now. We know these guys are actors, and it makes me appreciate them more. I don't respect them more, but I do appreciate their ability to act. I think everybody at the time believed Denny Green was genuinely mad. And he told us the truth. They are who we thought they were. We know everything about them. But that was a nice meltdown. So was a few other ones. But yeah, going into the Bears, I had a fade coin flip guy, if you didn't notice, and I've been sticking with him hard. But I'm like, you know what? There's two things I thought of. My first, this man could have done this with every team, and the Jets just happened to make it the longest, and that's the video that surfaced, right? And I'm not trying to hate on coin flip guy. The other reason was I just don't see, in my opinion, a reason for the Bears to win this game. I think especially with 7 points and Wilson getting benched, a lot of people are going to be, even with Fields out, just taking the Bears with the points. and it just makes sense. I like the NFC Beast narrative a little more, especially now they got Mike White in, the most boring name of all time. That guy's never going to make it. I think Flacco makes his way back in and can make it interesting. Where Flacco maybe he's from Buffalo, the University of Buffalo. Oh no, Delaware. I'm sorry, I always get them two mixed up. But what's interesting is he. I thought he was a backup on the Bills. I could be wrong, but he also was on the Ravens, of course. So he could play both of those teams and do really well. How's the coin doing? What coin? Uh, crypto? Or crypto's doing terrible right now. Uh, some altcoins are actually still, believe it or not. Oh, coin flip. Yeah, yeah. How's the coin doing? Yeah, so we faded coin flip guy. So far it's looking. I think we were up like 7 last I checked. Now I did take the Jets to cover, so hopefully they cover that 7. Some of you might have gotten at like 6.5, but yeah, the Jets are looking. I think they're looking good. The only one I saw off the bat that I was like, this one's looking like, you know, obviously, I don't call any early, but I was thinking this one's looking pretty good is the Miami Dolphins. You did take the Bears. Okay, well, I mean, you do have history on your side, Chris. I'll give you that. I mean, you have a lot of history on your side there. And you took the Jags, Titans. Yeah, I took both of them as well, Sean. I think they're a trap game. The AFC South, I like to call the spoiler division. They seem to always win games that they should not win, whether you're talking about the Colts, Texans, Titans, or Jags. They always seem to win games they shouldn't. When they're matched up against each other, the wrong team wins. Like so, I for them, I just went with the Titans. Yeah, we got Miami minus 14. Sean, I'm sure if you've seen them, they've been pushing this stupid Tua at home narrative, like we're idiots. So every time he's at home, he must throw like 4 touchdowns, and I bet you Hill and Wall will have about 100 each. And I haven't even seen one play of that game. I could be way off, but it's just a stupid narrative. So that's going to be good because we're going to know, in a lot of these games going forward, at home or on the road, the difference it's going to make. You can see home field advantage does not matter that much, or there wouldn't be that much of a difference with Tua. It would be the same for everybody, right? How come Tua is the only one that benefits from this? Yeah, Trevor, I'm hoping he gets it done. My logic, Sean, was there's no way the Jags lose. Same with the Browns. There's a few teams like that fit this distinction. They lose and they're out of the playoffs. Okay, Jags, Browns. But if they win, they're in the playoffs with quarterbacks that people have a little not in the playoffs, but they're in the hunt. Especially the Browns because you have Watson returning. I just don't see why you would eliminate them this week. You got Brady today with 5.5 with the Broncos. So you got the Bucks -5 or oh you got 5 point. Okay. Yeah, I went with I did go with the Bucks to lose. Well, actually, I took the Browns +3. So the Bucks could win by anywhere to 3, and we would both win, which I always like. But I just like the Watson narrative. I don't know why, unless they really are just setting it up for next year. I think you'd give the fans like, oh wow, we're coming back only 2 games out of the playoffs. If the Chargers lose, which they probably could lose. Broncos +5. Oh, so I'm guessing you got it live or something. Okay. Yeah, Broncos. You know how I feel about Russ. I've been rolling with Russ. Okay, so they'll probably both get 100, Steve, and I'm thinking, or very close to it, or they'll just start giving other guys yards now. But that tandem is being pushed, and they're going to be pushed hard. But yeah, Broncos live. I still like the Broncos to win. I could be off, but I do think they're going to be being faded very hard, even against the Panthers. People or just not being bet. I don't think there's going to be a lot of action on that game. Yeah, so the Ravens. I was at first I thought the Bengals were going to win the division and the Ravens were going to sneak in, Sean, because I was like that'd be a nice way for the Ravens to. Uh, people, I don't want. I feel like they don't want to make any of these teams look too good, right? But at the same time, I'm thinking the Bengals are looking like they might not even make the playoffs, based off the way, and they might have just given up on them. Okay, the Rams and Bengals, it's not your year. We want to get other teams in, Chargers, Jets, whoever it may be. On the other end is obviously the Niners, so I think going to the Super Bowl. But regarding the Ravens, I do think now that you're right. I think they will win the division. That's how they'll get in, because I'm not sure the other person in the division, that being the Bengals, is going to get in the playoffs. But yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see the possibility of Flacco versus the Ravens in the divisional match or something like that. Yeah, Russ has done great for us this year. We hit like the first 5 times with him, and then we missed Russ versus the Jets. I had the Broncos hit him again in London, and we missed him the next week. So it's not like Rodgers where like he's really cost us. I put some faith in him on some important legs, like leg threes and stuff, leg fours even, and he's failed. He failed me in a leg three, but yeah, Russ has come through for the most part for us more than almost any other quarterback. Oh yeah, definitely not the talent. It's how they're being pushed. So when they're pushing to it as he's great at home, it doesn't matter if there's somebody more talented. We see Daniel Jones running like he's George Blando whenever they need him to. Uh, the more talented you are, the better you can pull it off. But you're definitely right, Sean. It has nothing to do with talent. If it did, the same teams would win. Yeah, Mixon killed it. Again, that proof of it doesn't really matter, the talent, right? You had Mixon just going nuts. Gets injured, and apparently the backup's doing just fine. What's up, Creaky? How you doing, man? Uh, Feeling a little, not like yesterday, like I was telling people, not feeling the greatest, but feeling a little better today, which is cool. And haven't checked the scores and since I started this. Really, I checked once, but they were looking pretty good a second ago when I was able to check. Yeah, I could see that, Sean. It would just take a lot to get them. I mean, I guess you can make the same argument for Denver, but it would take a lot to get them into playoff position. I thought maybe they lose out and you give them a top quarterback. You give them a Bryce. You give them a CJ Straub, someone like that. I think that would really excite that franchise, excite the fan base, I should say. But you could definitely get them where they're a couple games out. They could get in because Tomlin is known for getting in. Same at Rodgers. So I think they're going to want to keep it close. But I could also see him getting a bottom five pick along with the Texans, Colts, and some other teams. Yeah, I'm probably taking the Packers to cover for the simple reason my gut is always wrong with Aaron Rodgers. So this time my gut was saying Philly's going to steamroll them. Oops. Philly's going to steamroll them, come back strong, and sure enough, that's my gut. So I'm probably going to do the opposite of my gut and take the Packers to cover because Rodgers just happens to always do the opposite of my gut. So I'm really feeling Eagles or Packers cover this game. Yeah, because my gut's saying fade the bum. So I'm probably going to wind up taking him. Yeah, the Russ touchdown record's interesting. They're going to keep that narrative going. Of course, it's records can only be broken once. So like, well, they could be broken by other people, but you get my point. Like this type of thing can only happen once. So I think it'll be very interesting when it happens. But they're also not talking about his fourth quarter comebacks, and I believe he's one behind Montana. Stenson went over. Okay, we had the under there, so that's unfortunate. I knew it was going to be close. I thought it'd be close at least. So I'm going to talk about college football in a minute too, or college basketball in a minute too, um, because they're really you can look at the metrics there, and it's for me it's been one of my highest percentages, it's about 70%. What they do, like for example, Missouri State earlier, I had them under, and I caught them at the under finished at 140 was the final over under, but it wound up going 138 or something, and a few people got clipped basically at 141, 142. So I want to get the flips of these lines at the last second make a giant difference. Yeah, Zap, he's more talented, but I think Mac's more marketable. That's the thing that I find interesting, Sean. It seems like they want to market Mac Jones a little more, but they are making him look stupid. Yeah, Chris, they could win tonight. I have him covering, but I'm not going to take him to win personally. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, they lose out, and they have Pickett. If you think he's a good quarterback, then they can get someone like Jalen Hyatt from Tennessee, get a good receiver. You could be right, Justin. It would make sense. This would fire Hackett, and then you get people excited for next year. I'm personally going with the narrative. Everybody's counting these guys out, and they're going to just get it done today, and then they'll be able to win the games they need to. But that is a good narrative because it's going to be difficult to explain them just suddenly getting better. Usually, you have to fire a coach, change the system to do that. I hope they win because I'm taking them to cover, and I think it fits the NFC Beast narrative, which they're going to make everyone in that. It's like the Pac-12, and I want to go into that in a minute too. The college playoffs has been a joke. We were right over the target, by the way. We would just pick the wrong team, but I agree. I think they're going to make in my opinion, the NFC East look really strong. Yeah, you'll notice certain weeks, certain defenses play really, really good out of nowhere. Like the Jets will be the feistiest defense in the world one week. The next week they can't stop anything. It's way more noticeable in college, but yeah, the Bengals do it all the time. Darnold, yeah, I don't think anyone cares about Darnold. I think Wilson has more marketability than Darnold at this point. So if Darnold didn't make it, he might move around like a backup like Mariota and then start, but I don't think it might help his future a little bit, but he'll get the Dalton treatment, and probably not even that. He'll probably be worse than Dalton. Um, yeah, another comeback. Well, that would start off the comeback, right? Everyone ruled them out. They come back today, and then they go on a nice little run. And again, if they don't, then I do agree with Justin, and they're probably firing the coach. Jacksonville in the red zone, that would be nice. Again, I think 90%. That's the game where if the Ravens do cover, I start to wonder. I'm like, geez. Now I do. There's people that'll say, "Oh, this team won, so the NFL can't be rigged." And my response to that is, of course they have to pay out the public. It's like the lottery. If nobody ever won the lottery, which I also think is rigged, they have fake actors. But if nobody ever won the lottery, nobody would play it, right? So of course they have to pay out the public. But in most of these games, like Jacksonville only getting 2.5, if you bet the traps, we win over time. There's no way it should have been that. Yeah, Sean. So I have a theory with Steve. Bad tackling by the Ravens. Yeah, so they're probably letting the Jags. Etienne is another guy who people just bounce off him like a freaking pinball machine. I don't know if it's again. I think you need some athleticism, but it's like when they fake tackle this dude, like they don't. It's like they don't even touch him. It was like when Ricky Williams or Jamal Lewis used to run over people. But yeah, so the football playoffs for college finished very interesting. So now we have four teams in it, right? And TCU has to be in it. I would think so with Lawrence. Yeah, I think they're still going to keep pushing Trevor Lawrence. So, in my opinion, there's no reason for them to lose. I think it's a good game for them to win. Yeah. So the thing is, if they do the lottery and they fake it, all they have to do is pay an actor like $100,000 to sign an NDA and say they won 15. How come none of these people start brands after they win the lottery? How come none of these people do anything with their winnings? I think someone said like a couple famous people won the lottery, but there's not you would see way more people win the lottery and then use that to extend their brand. Hey, I won the lottery. You just don't see it for a reason. But I want to go into the games now. The college football playoffs. So we had USC getting in back when they were ranked like 14th. Exactly. You'll never hear the winners, and it's not for their privacy, or they wouldn't have them. They wouldn't put their names in the papers. But four teams have to get in. TCU has to get in now. Georgia has to get in now, and of course Michigan has to get in. I thought Michigan was going to get the boot, and they were going to explain that's why USC was getting in. But they didn't do that. What they did is they made the Pac-12 look really, really strong. They made USC look really, really strong, and they made Ohio State look really, really weak in their last week. So we had USC getting in over Michigan, just the wrong team getting out. Now, what's interesting is immediately after that loss, the articles were saying how Ohio State has no chance of getting in the playoffs. They've dashed their hopes. And you'd think that you need a little more time for them to come to that determination. So again, you could tell it's all scripted. They knew exactly. It's not a coincidence. Clemson lost as well as LSU, and then Tennessee last week. That all set it up so now USC can flip all these teams and it not look ridiculous where they move up 9 ranking points. But that was very interesting. So I see the Bucks just took the lead. There we're getting 3. So obviously down 7. It's tougher, but that one's going to be interesting. I really do think that the Browns pull through, and it does look like the Jags are going to go up by 3 here, unless they miss a chip shot. So the games that I'm looking at, yeah, it's 10-9. Bears, Jets. Right now, we would push tie. So yeah, a lot of close games, but I do like the Dolphins, and it seems like the Jets might pull away as well. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Like the missed tackles is one of the biggest giveaways, Sean, and I'm sure you know. It's so ridiculous. Yeah, I saw that. We got 3, so that's nice. Finishes close. We got that. But yeah, the missed tackling is what I noticed. I noticed it really bad with Miami versus Pitt. I know you watch Pitt, so I don't know if you watched the Pitt game, but man, were there some? I mean, their defense is known for playing well, but on this one play, just first the guy literally missed just a wide open tackle. Like there's not much else to say. And then there was 2 people converging on the guy, and they did that Three Stooges thing where they hit each other and fall over each other, and the guy just ducks between them. It was just so bad. Yeah, the mistake it's so blatant, and you know what makes it more blatant? If anybody saw the Washington State game last night, then you know why these fake tackles are so obvious. Because last night Washington played Washington State. and Washington State went for a 2-point conversion attempt where the quarterback, the very athletic quarterback, by the way, Ward, rolled out to the left, had the easy field ahead of him, but the defender came sprinting over the safety from the middle of the field and was able to force him out right before the pylon. Now, you see that play happen a million times, and every time the quarterback just waltzes right in because the defender gets there just too late. So in this case, there's just perfect proof how if these guys wanted to, they could close these gaps in half a second. They could close these, they could take these good angles. So when you see somebody that's got a 10-yard angle on someone, but the quarterback still just makes it in, every time that guy is slowing down his running. He's just making it seem like he's running faster, but they're running slower on purpose. Yeah, I'm from South Philly as well, Willingboro, Burlington, Camden. It's actually funny because they're filming Chucky right now, and it takes place in Burlington County, which is literally the county I'm from. So I thought that was funny. Uh, it takes place in Hackensack, but they moved it to Burlington and Camden. But yeah, Philly, as you know, they have some of the most rigged sports in Pennsylvania in general. It's ridiculous. Panthers scored. Okay, so it looks like the Broncos might just get pounded. This one looks like it's probably fitting Justin's theory of Hackett getting fired. In my opinion, if these guys can't score a touchdown, and we know how bad the Panthers are, they're going to have the Panthers kind of roll them or even win pretty decisively. And again, I'm not saying they're definitely going to win. I'm just saying if they are to, then I think yeah, you got to fire Hackett, give people some hope, and then do think that they'll start some kind of comeback next year. Yeah, these people we are taught in pee wee football how to wrap up, how to follow the knees, not the ball, like the simple things, how not to fall for. Yeah, good pick on the Panthers. Like I said, I was rolling with Russ. I only took it as a first sequence. I didn't have there's more I had more faith in, but I'm always going to roll with Russ until like if he loses now, they're mathematically eliminated. But yeah, yeah, Darnold. It's funny how they make some of these quarterbacks look really good when they're average at best. And he's got athleticism. He's always been good, but we've seen how he's played. But yeah, the Broncos again looking like very good chance here. This is the fire Hackett week, uh, and they could come back. It's only a 13-point game, 14-point game, but I do think that if they're pounding the touchdown record narrative, sometimes that means that he doesn't break it, which would make it difficult for the Broncos to come back. But in my opinion, I really do think that if they do fire Hackett, then they're going to start giving them some team some false hope. Commanders touchdown, that's good. Yeah, that game when I picked the Commanders -4, I was really worried, and it still could. I was really worried. This one looks like a 3-point game if I've ever seen one. But I think for that reason, a lot of the public was going to take Atlanta +4. I also really like the idea of the entire NFC East getting in the playoffs. I think they've been silently telegraphing this for a very long time. If you notice, just they have the right teams winning and losing. So really, Seattle's the only team holding up the NFC East from getting in the playoffs. Curtis in the fantasy football. Honestly, I don't even know who Curtis is. uh, to be quite honest, if you tell me the first name, but I a lot of these games I just go off metrics. So people will tell me like, "Oh, this guy's injured," or "This guy's out," "This guy's starting," and I'm like, "Okay, I didn't really never heard of that guy." Or it's like you said earlier, I don't go by stats or by how good somebody actually is. To me, these games are all about narrative. Samuel Curtis. Okay, now okay, I knew they had a Samuel somebody. Curtis Samuel. I was gonna say okay, Curtis Samuel sounds way yeah because I was gonna say there a Debo and then another one. Okay, so yeah, I'm sure. Like, what did he just score the touchdown? I'm guessing. You said you have him for your fantasy football. Hopefully, he scored for you. But yeah, the Commanders are a perfect team to get in. I think everyone's on Seattle right now. And do you guys remember a few weeks ago? These things aren't accidents. They said to Ron Rivera, "What's the problem? Why is the rest of the NFC doing East doing well and you're not?" And what was his answer? Quarterback. That's all he said, right? Quarterback. And then what they made a big deal about it, and Wentz is like, "Oh no, it's no big deal." And then we have this quote injury, and now we have Heineke that's 4-1, I think, since starting. So it's very interesting that Curtis. Yeah, well, I'm glad he's on our side for this game. Like I said, and it seems like they're going to force Heineke as a good quarterback, which is great. I think they're going to wind up rolling with Heineke in the next year. I think the fans like him. But yeah, so they blame the quarterback. Heineke comes in, wins a bunch of games. So to me, it's just setting up that they're saying basically the Commanders are a playoff team if they have a good quarterback, and then they're saying that Heineke is that guy. So I do like them to win this game. Just hoping they hold the cover. Last I checked, Dolphins were trouncing the Texans. Right now it is, yeah, 30-0. It looks like, yeah, still 30-0. So we got 14 there. We still got 16 points to mess with. So that one's looking like obviously the nicest one. Jets right now we would push. It'd be nice if they got another field goal or something. Again, I think a lot of people are just fading them for the simple fact when you have two teams, and I'll say two shitty teams, just because the Jets are in the process of going through quarterbacks and have some injuries. A lot of people are going to take the 7 points. So I had a fade coin flip guy, and so far it's looking good. Titans still tied. This game always seems to go the Titans' way. It always seems to go to Titans' way when they're playing like a close game. They always seem to win by 3 or something. That's why I love them. Okay, he played for Carolina. I just started watching more college. Oh, you mean Panthers? Okay, he did pretty good. Yeah, a lot of times I'll do better. Didn't Carolina just trade another guy to the Cardinals? Yeah, Robbie Anderson or someone else. I think it was Robbie Anderson, Richie Anderson. Yeah, I'm from Philadelphia. I'm technically from Jersey, but I say Philly because I grew up like 10 minutes. Anytime I fly in, I fly in through Philly. Most of my family lives in Philly. I worked in Philly for a bit, but yeah, I miss it. I miss the food. The people are cool. They missed the PAT, not great. Really, just because in a game when we're giving up four, you never like that. So we'll have to see how that plays out. He's questionable for the game. Okay, that we'll have to see what happens. But the injury is another thing I always get. It just seems like it doesn't matter who's in sometimes. Yeah, they could be shaving some points. We'll see. We'll see if it winds up pushing instead of winning or something of that effect. Yeah, I agree. And agree, Antonio, I agree. I don't know if I like him to win, but I like him to cover. I think enough people are fading Rodgers, and I have a hypothetical series where the Packers essentially win out, do really well, but they just missed the playoffs, and I think that'd be really funny and fitting for Rodgers. So yeah, the a Green Bay win makes sense for my theory because they do need to win games like tonight, and they have to win a good bit of their games. They lose tonight, and they're essentially out. That's kind of the reason I went with teams like the Browns. I'm not saying it means they're going to win. As you can see, it's not working for the Broncos, but you don't want to knock too many teams out this early. The Eagles, the Bucks, they can afford losses. Yeah, that's gonna be interesting. I think they're setting up Odell Beckham Jr. to go somewhere, and that team's gonna meet the Niners. So it'll be like, up this team who got OBJ and this team who got C-Mac. So I don't know, grinning in their face. Action, Vegas Insider, all those from what I could tell are full of shit. They show me a public handle that has 80% on one team on the money line. Like take the Titans for example. They'll have 80% on the Titans money line, but 80% on the Bengals spread when it's an even game. So they have too many things that don't make sense to me. And by their own metrics, Vegas is paying the public out the ass, which I just can't believe. So unless you're paying for it or something of that nature, I don't think there's any metric outside of common sense, like knowing that there's going to be more money on the Ravens than the Jags. I can't think of a accurate source where we would be able to go to and get public money. Yeah, it is. I mean, according to Vegas Insider right now, I bet you they have even money on the Jags Ravens game or something like. A lot of them are there. You'll see kind of match up, but then you'll see some just don't match up at all, and it really throws off my decision making when I'm trying to see where the public's going to be at. Everyone doing bad. Yeah, it is interesting how Brady's like the only one he's going through like the Brady meltdown, but even the failures are being blamed on the team. It seems like, and it's funny from a statistical point of view. Rodgers is actually doing good. He's just doing stupid shit at bad times. All right, take care, Sean. Be safe, drive safe. I always appreciate you coming in, man. It's always good talking to you. I know you know your history. So we got Dallas and Buffalo. Yeah, a lot of times they do go hand in hand. Real life catastrophes and sports. I do think Buffalo's an interesting one. I have Dallas in the NFC Championship playing the Niners for the reason I do think that the Jimmy G comeback story makes a lot of sense, just to me. I feel like they could have Dallas do it. I just really think the Jimmy G comeback story, they've been really talking about it all year, and I think it comes to fruition. As far as the AFC, I am way more on Buffalo than I was. At first, I thought it wasn't going to be them and the Chiefs. I was like, oh, way too obvious. But now I'm wondering if Buffalo does do it. There's a few teams that I could see. It would be interesting if Buffalo played. I really am hard on the 49ers. Like my stance there is pretty hard. I do think that they win just because of Jimmy G. And I think that's why they gave them CMC. That way, it's like basically undisputed. Like this team can't be stopped. You try and stop Christian, and you got Debo. You try and stop Debo, you got was it Kittle. So they got Ayachuk. They have so many guys. Oh yeah, this I got it at I had to order it special online. They don't it's a really rare shirt. It's Egyptian cotton. But yeah, it's funny actually. I even in high school, all I really wore was white tees. They're just it's way more. They're very comfortable, and I'd rather be comfortable than like have a shirt that looks great sometimes. Yeah, your number. Yeah, I mean, you could join the Discord if you want to. I message people in there every day. Um, Jim Rome. Yeah, I didn't realize it. Look, that guy always annoyed me too. Uh, Yeah, like I said, Antonio, my Discord, I message anybody who messages me in there. So if you join the Discord, I can always, if you have like a last minute pick you need or insight, I am always able to talk to you guys. And yeah, Jim Rome, man, I remember when he got, didn't he get like beat up by Chris Everett because he was calling him a girl or something? He was like, I think that was all fake and stuff. Went to overtime. Okay, yeah, that figures, Steve. So there's a couple over unders. They do shady things. In this case, I went under on Stetson because they hadn't gone under all year, and they had it, but they went to overtime and they wound up going over. Yeah, it was good, Sonny. Thank you. Yeah, the Bucks. So that's a split one for me because I need the Jags, but I do have Cleveland +3. So we'll have to see what happens there. But yeah, they're Brady's looking pretty good. And what I saw from Lawrence wasn't too promising. So we'll have to see there. But I do think the Jags. I think there's going to be way too much money on Baltimore. I just can't see money being on Jacksonville this game. Like I don't see who's taking them. Only getting 2.5. I can understand if you're getting a touchdown or something. Oh, Jets are up two now. Nice. So looks like the Bengals are driving a third down stop would be nice here. Browns, yeah, not looking great. Jags still good. Dolphins good. Jets looking pretty good. And Commanders, yeah. So the Falcons just get a field goal. It looks like. Hopefully that missed extra point wasn't a point shaver. That'd be rough. That'd be pretty blatant. But I think Commanders wind up winning by more than three. I do. I think too many people are going to have taken Atlanta with 4 points. Oh, no problem, Antonio. Like I said, man, anytime, like I said, this will be going on for a bit, so you can always pop in and out. We'll be going over basketball and stuff. There's a game starting in about 30 minutes, so I want to get them hit, and I want to go into the 4 o'clock games. I just figured we would chill and talk about the early games early. So Southeast Missouri coming back, we might get. Yeah, okay. Okay, so that one, yeah. A lot of the college ones, like I said, I just take off of metrics, as you know, Steve. So I don't really, I'll kind of gauge them at the end of the game. I'll just see if it hit or missed. But yeah, when you see a team 0-7 against the spread, sure they might lose again, but they're not going to lose two or three in a row. And on that note, I do want to talk about basketball. I love Dallas to cover the spread today. I'm taking them as in my case, it's a third leg, uh, which means I bet a unit. I missed, bet a second, doubled that, missed, and now I'm doubling it again. The reason I like Dallas is they are just so abysmal against the spread this year, and again, this just does not hold. So yesterday, I took Dallas Mavericks to cover the spread with the intention if they didn't, I was going to double up today, and it's a perfect day for it because they're getting 6.5. It was 6. I thought it moved to 7, and they're playing the Bucks. And I think people are going to be fading the Mavericks really, really, really hard. So between that and the fact that you will see over time, teams just do not start or finish, in any case, a particular record against the spread. It just doesn't happen. It's never happened in history. It's not like I'm just making this up. I've checked back the historical trends going 30 years back, and it does not. You don't see a team finish 10% against the spread. So I know I talk about this a lot, but that's why I'm always going to take those type of teams. So I love Dallas to cover the spread, and I think they play today. Now some of the earlier games, we I want to go into football first, just because obviously I'm not going to be able to put out a 4 o'clock video. So we have the Chargers playing the Cardinals, and if you remember yesterday, I said if pressed, if absolutely pressed, I'd go with the Chargers. And for the reason being, I think it's yeah. So Dallas will be 1, 2, 4. It's going to be a fourth unit bet on Dallas. That's a third leg, 4 units. And then if they lose, we close out that sequence. We can consider a fourth leg of 8 units, but I don't think it'll be necessary. Uh, Chargers Cardinals. Like I said, I was leaning Chargers, and then I was wondering, well, the spread looks like it might be a trap spread. This is definitely the type of game that the Chargers would blow. And again, to make things interesting on both sides, I do think the Cardinals need to win this game. I thought about it, I slept on it, and the Cardinals need to win the game. If the Chargers win, it makes the AFC a little more interesting, yes, but the NFC is basically determined. And I've done the simulations. It doesn't make sense, in my opinion, if the Cardinals lose this game. And they're still a team that, again, they're pushing this team as a good team. So it's not like they're a garbage team. Oh yeah, thanks, Antonio. I always wanted to do it where I like when you guys can see me. I just feel like it's more personable. I don't want to be some kind of misguided, aimless voice like one of those like the SpongeBob narrator. But at the same time, it's really hard for me to screen share. So when I'm doing my picks and stuff, I have to screen share that way. But I like being able to do live because then I could just talk and answer any questions. Dorchich, so he's been pushing him really hard. I get him and Dolchich mixed up all the time. But yeah, if he's out, then that could make a difference because they will try and explain certain things away. Trying to think who Tom. I know you're talking about too. I'm just trying to put a face on him. But yeah, the I think Dallas covers that game, just in my opinion. Cincinnati Tennessee game. What's your final pick? NBA final pick. Yeah. So Antonio, I had a video. If you guys haven't seen it, I think it's pretty interesting. Uh, yeah, Texans probably might get something, but I don't think they're gonna make it a game. So I have the Sixers beating the Clippers. Okay, and it was actually well, actually, I have I had the Sixers beating the Blazers, and then I was like, as much as I love the Blazers this year, I have some picks on them to win the West, to win the division, to win more than 39.5. There was a bunch that on the Blazers that I had gone with. So, but I am thinking that they're going to want to make it a little more of an interesting finals. So my pick is the Sixers to win it all. It's the 76th anniversary. I think that's interesting. I brought this up before. Some people are arguing it's the 77th. I don't see any evidence to back that up. All last year, they were pushing it as the 75th. So even if technically it would be the 77th, the NBA is recognizing this year as the 76th. So for that, I think the 76ers win. And I think the narrative is going to be, and Philadelphia Warriors won the first ever year. Warriors won last year. You got the Doc redemption storyline. James Harden's never got one. There's a lot of things pointing to the Sixers winning this, and on paper they make a lot of sense. It wouldn't be a ridiculous pick. I think the Rams last year people knew was kind of staged. The Sixers, I don't think people would buy it, would question it. Yeah, touchdown Houston. Congratulations to Lovey. He's still getting the first pick in the draft, but yeah, I think Miami still covers that one pretty easily. But yeah, there's something interesting. Yeah, Tyronn Lue too. Tyronn Lue has a very interesting connection. You'll see that's why some of these coaches stay coaches, or they'll move around, and despite not being ridiculously successful, they'll become successful. Or like Tyronn Lue, I think immediately he kind of just was really successful. Don't forget these coaching trees. Just think about it like from a personal perspective, right? If you knew somebody and like he came up under you and he starts to grow and learn everything that you're gonna and your friends, like you're not gonna screw that person over. You're not gonna really, you know, it's just gonna it's a bloodline, So in my opinion, even these people that supposedly hate each other, these rivalry teams, they love each other. Without each other, they would not make their money. So yeah, Warriors Sixers is interesting. I could see I when Steph won last year, I really thought it was his send off, and I said I cannot imagine this team gets back to the playoffs. Uh, but they could play the Sixers. It'd be interesting because nobody, I think everyone would have the Warriors in that game, and it'd be interesting to see, Doc beat the Warriors. I thought Doc beating the Clippers was interesting because it's his old team. So Doc beating his old team that he quote choked with, right? And now they're saying they got rid of him. Now he quote choked with the Sixers last year. I think it makes perfect sense for Doc to go out. He'd probably go out on the win too, I think. But to win this championship against the Clippers, and again, They have PJ Tucker. I brought this up a few times. PJ Tucker was on the Bucks championship team. PJ Tucker was on the Heat when they almost made it. And someone brought to my attention because I said, the Sixers are like a PJ Tucker away from a championship, on paper. That narrative, you need that PJ Tucker. Someone brought to my attention that that Joel Embiid actually said that quote. He said, "We're a PJ Tucker away from the championship." Or once they got him, they said, "We were him away from winning the championship. This is the difference maker." So nobody's looking at PJ Tucker, but I am because he's the type of guy that's going to win you a championship on paper, whether it's rigged or not. So yeah, I love the Sixers to win the whole thing. The East hasn't won in a couple years. Oh no, they won in. I think with the Bucks was their last, wasn't it? The Bucks their last win a couple years ago. But I just think there's going to be way more money on the Warriors in the West or any team in the West, honestly, unless they make the Sixers look unstoppable. And I don't think that happens either. I think they're going to look good this year, but there's going to be a lot of questions going into the playoffs. Can Doc win without a healthy Harden if he's a little banged up? Can Doc win if Embiid's on limited minutes? Can Doc make the right calls at the end of a game to get his players the best shot? These are all things that he keeps getting criticism with. So I think we see a very different team in the playoffs this year as far as the Sixers. But yeah, I do like them. My feeling on the Blazers is I think they make it deeper than anyone thinks. Before the season started, they weren't even considered a playoff team. Without Dame, they just had Grant drop 38. I'm sorry, Grant dropped 44, and Anthony Simons dropped 38 together. Without Dame, who would they beat? They beat a pretty good team, and people are still acting like these guys are just like a Cinderella story. So again, rigged or not rigged, I love the Blazers to go far. As far as the games, I went into. I do like the Cardinals. I love the Raiders to cover this four. Again, I think a lot of money is going to be on Seattle, and the Raiders are a perfect spoil game here. I could see an outright win, to be honest. But the four, I think the covering the four is. I've been liking that one with the Raiders, and just because, again, I think if you look at the money that's going to be on Seattle, and B, because I think they need to make the Commanders again very close with Seattle, and I really do think Commanders hold off and win this game, and they can't have Seattle win certain games. So this is a perfect game for Seattle to lose, in my opinion. Um, yeah. So the Lakers and Nets, I know for a fact that they didn't just put these guys together just to have them fail. So I know for a fact that they're going to do something with the Lakers and the Nets. Whether it's going to be I think they're paying penance right now. I think you're gonna like this theory, Antonio. So, LeBron is coming into the league in what 2 years? LeBron's been horrible last year. Not him, but the team. They were horrible last year. Now this year they're not doing good, and yeah, they failed last year. And they're also getting all these young guys. They got Pippen's son, they got Shaq's son, uh, and now they're going to probably. I mean, I think they'll get Bronny, or LeBron leaves and goes to Cleveland or Bronny. But I think LeBron's going to lose out. Honestly, 3 years in a row. I think he's gonna have losing seasons, and until Bronny gets in the league, there's no way this team could lose, even if all five of them hated each other and played nothing alike. I understand the team beats talented players, but go up to the park with your four closest friends and challenge five of the most talented random guys. They're going to steamroll you. And there's no reason that Anthony Davis and LeBron and all these guys should not be steamrolling their competition. So that Nets too. It's same story. I mean, Kevin Durant alone's hard enough to stop. Then you throw in Kyrie, you throw in all the role players. After last night, I think that's what people are thinking. Scratch, internet stress. I think people are thinking that okay, this is the Lakers' time to go on a run, and they might continue it for a couple games. But I think they're going to basically just do that. They're going to go on these little flurries and then lose to the Wolves. Little flurry and then lose to the Celtics. Little flurry. Of course, they're going to beat a couple teams that are good teams, but I just think that LeBron's paying a penance in return for A, them making him the golden boy for 20 years, and B, because he's going to be getting Bronny. The guy gets everything he wants. So when you get everything you want, sometimes you have to pay a little bit of a penance. Yeah, and that's another thing that's interesting with Anthony Davis. So they're really pushing this Russell Westbrook as a cancer narrative. And it's funny because of the three of them, when it's just Russell, they do better than when it's just LeBron or just Davis. Now, Russell and LeBron did great together, but the commonality that they're showing is Davis is the problem on his craft. Yeah, his craft is politicking. But the yeah, so Davis, it's just interesting in my opinion because you could just stick him in with LeBron and just say, "Hey, just play in the post like Dwight Howard." And they did that with Dwight Howard on the Rockets, and for some reason it couldn't work. Even though this guy by himself couldn't be stopped. Now when he has, you know, put back opportunities and they can't really guard him the way they could guard the post, now he sucks. And now look what he's doing in Taiwan. So it just shows how rigged it is. But yeah, I think AD, it's really interesting. I'm wondering, I still think they trade Russell for Kyrie. I think that makes sense. You reunite both brothers, right? You got KD, and KD's now making excuses for Russell, and you have Kyrie, and kind of getting a treatment where only one guy might be able to save him at this point, which would be LeBron, right? If you're on LeBron's good graces, you can basically say whatever you want. Oh yeah, so the head bleeding. Someone in my Discord brought up how WWE like it was, and yes, it was. You don't bleed that way. I don't know what happened to this guy, but that's a blade job. Okay, so in wrestling they have little wristbands on, and under their wristband they will just kind of do a little slice, and then you'll see the blood start gushing down the bottom of the forehead, and that's how it gets all nice down the nose and down the cheeks. So there's actually a craft to the blading. Yeah, maybe LeBron's the one who bladed him. He could have been. I didn't see who bladed him. Usually you blade yourself. It just sometimes the referee even hands you the blade. That's WWE. I do think that's what happened here. It looked like someone got hit with a chair shot, or they got thrown into the post, and then suddenly they're bleeding. So it's real blood. I give Russ credit there, but again, I don't think he got punched or whatever the hell happened. I didn't even see what happened. Yeah, that I mean, well, yeah, instant blood's gonna happen from a blade. So usually, again, you see it in wrestling all the time. Guy gets hit with a chair, he rolls for like a second, and bam. So I'd have to see exactly what happened, but yeah, I'm not saying it was like blood capsules. I think he bladed himself. It just looked too symmetrical to a blade job. I didn't see what happened either. I'll look at it to see if he gets like pushed and then his head hits something and then the camera conveniently. And again, in wrestling they make Taker appear in a half a second in a cloud of smoke, right? They've made the man disappear. Doesn't mean he did. It just camera angles. So I think with Russell Westbrook, I don't think it was real blood. Uh, I just think they're trying to really force these narratives with these different teams getting feisty. You got it with the Lakers and the Suns. You got it with a bunch of different teams. Titans tied it at 13. Yeah, Titans are that. I'm telling you. And the good thing is with the Titans, so many times I've taken the opposite team in this case. Ravens up 12-10. So we cover that. That'd be interesting. And so I think something like that happens, 19-17, where it's essentially they get the win, but almost anybody that took the -2.5 for odds is gonna get plastered. Broncos looking like they're out, which, is fine. I mean, again, we're not gonna hit them all. Browns looks like they have the ball, so we'll have to see what happens there. Yep. The 1 point bullshit. Yeah, yeah. So the point is kind of rough because well, they're up by 6 now, so we'll have to see what happens with the Commanders. Like I said from the beginning, I think a lot of people are going to be on that 4 points for the Falcons. And remember, this is the stuff you have to think about with live betting and stuff. Right now, the Falcons aren't going to be playing for a field goal. I don't think. Uh, with 9 minutes, probably they probably could, but the odds are that they're going to be playing for the touchdown. So I think that they play for the touchdown, and there's a very good chance Washington easily covers and holds that cover. And Miami, let's see where they're at. Yeah, still up 24. I mean, we have a lot of points to play with there. We got 14 points. I think Miami holds. I'm more fixated on the ones that are really close. Obviously, the Titans one's going to be maybe an overtime game, and the Jets. Oh, the Jets pulled away nice. So Jets looks like it should cover. I'm proud because we faded history and we won. We faded the coin flip guy and we won. It's not over yet, and I know some people did pick the Bears, but yeah, I think Mike White's the man. I mean, he's got like the most boring name ever. Maybe they I don't know how this guy is the first Mike White that I've heard of. I think that's pretty interesting. I feel like there should have been 100 Mike Whites in the NFL by now. Yeah, Panthers. Okay, yeah. So Steve and Justin was in here earlier. He brought it up. I think he's right. Now that I'm seeing it, obviously, I think this is the Fire Hackett game. Yeah, the fans, and I think maybe officially Flacco, eventually he might get in. I haven't seen the game. They got 31 points, but for all I know, it's because of defensive play and things of like that nature. But it could be anything. I thought Flacco would have been interesting because then he plays again. If he could play Baltimore in the playoffs, I think that's a really interesting game. Him against his former team, they love doing stuff like that. But I wanted to round out the 4 o'clock games. It's more of a, just a kind of relaxed section today. Like I said, so we got. I like the Cardinals to cover. I like the Raiders to cover. Rams Chiefs. I am going to. This one looks pretty suspicious. I'm not going to lie. So you see the 15 and a half, and a lot of people are probably thinking, well, even without Cooper Cup, uh, Rams 15 and a half have to cover. I'm actually going to go with the Rams to cover. Even though at first I thought more people were going to be on the Rams, I'm still taking them to cover because they've been so bad against the spread. And I think there's still going to be a good bit of people understanding Cooper Cup is all that the Rams have, and they're going to go with the Chiefs to cover. So I am playing the Rams. What did you get the Southeast? I don't. I so the thing, Steve, you have to remember, I pick like about 15 games at a time when it comes to college basketball. So I don't. I can't really watch them all at the same time. I thought it was. I picked three different Missouri games just today. I picked South Missouri, Missouri State. So you're asking who I got for the Southeast Missouri game? I had them. Let me see. How many points did I get? Okay. I'm just checking the Discord because, like I said, I don't remember these off the top of my head. I tried explaining. I picked, I picked like 15. Southeast Missouri. I have college. I have this all on my Discord too, guys. By the way, so if you ever want to, a specific game, I have Southeast Missouri to go over, and let me see what I had the over at. My sports book locked in at. And I'm sorry, guys. I'm just trying to answer this for him. I'm just bringing up my sports book here. Yeah, so it was for 146. I just wanted to check to make sure. It's at 144 right now. Okay, so yeah, two more points needs to happen. Sorry guys, I just wanted to check that to make sure I had the exact number. Yeah, I like I said, I can't remember all these like minor schools. I only put them in the Discord because I know people want to play games, so I put in every game that fits a metric, but I'm not going to remember the exact over under of every single game, at the time. So, whatever I told you is what I got. 146 is what I just checked. So, yeah, hopefully it goes over. If not, like I said, it's a long-term thing, so I'm just playing the next leg on I play the next leg on them to go over again. But yeah, I really just around 2 in the morning. I'm at night and stuff. Like after I do my videos and things of that nature, what I'll do is I'll go on the team ranking site, and it takes me a long time. And I sift out every single team that hasn't won against the spread that's playing the next day. Every team that has, I sift out every over, every under that hasn't hit, and I just put them in the Discord. So I'm not, I'm not. I don't have. There's no way I'd be able to check every single that's why I put him in there the way I do. Just because it's hard enough for me to just to do that, let alone go into every line, who they're playing, when they're playing. So, I do that so you guys could basically, hopefully, work out the rest because it's finding those games is just a pain in the ass. So yeah, uh, I think overall, I haven't looked at the games. I know you got clipped, Steven, on Missouri State. I don't know how I got 138. It closed at 137. It finished 140. This is why I recommend not using FanDuel and DraftKings and these time like they're not, in my opinion, they're not real sports books. Like a real sports book allows you to do almost anything. They have all sorts of bets where you can bet on politics, where you can bet on wrestling, most of them at least. And they certainly don't have it where you can't buy it to match the ESPN metric. So, I've noticed a couple times, with FanDuel, you can only buy a point, and then you got to pay minus 150 odds. My book always lets me buy any fraction of a point I want. So, just to match the ESPN metrics, I'm not a fan of FanDuel. I'm not a fan of DraftKings. I think, when the NFL is basically telling you to use those books, I wanted to bring this up before. I don't want to like tell shit on people's books and who they're using. It's just I've seen the NFL when they're sponsoring somebody really hard. I wouldn't go out of my way to play them. I use sportsbook. I like sportsbook.ag. Uh, their juice could be a little bit higher, but they're immediate with the customer service. Their lines typically are they match up almost exactly with ESPN's closing line. Their closing lines, and they pay out. They have one of the best payouts. Multiple ways you can get, no problem. They're really easy to sign up for. They don't get maybe the same juice as like say Bovada or some of the others, but sometimes I'll trade the juice because there was one time I had an issue putting crypto in there, and it got sent to like it got sent to one of their wallets, but not the one they had sent me, and they actually allowed me to, even though they didn't never receive the money. They actually funded my account anyway. Yeah, they what they do is they set up props that look appealing, like, but you can't change it by like anything. So they'll put it at exactly. Will this guy get 25 points or something, whatever the case may be? But you can't lower it to 23, and it just makes funnel's a perfect word because they funnel it down so you have to make the perfect decision in order to get the best odds. That's why I like being able to lower and higher the you can even sell points and like with my book I can sell points. So if I think a team's going to win by more, I can sell exactly a half a point or a point. I think they are. I mean, they tell you to use them. They're literally joking on the announcers are joking. Oh, I just made my FanDuel bet that this guy's going to score the next point. They're joking about it. Like, so they're all partnered up. Vegas is partnered up with them anyway. It just there's some of them that really get on my nerves. Vegas Insider, Action Network, FanDuel, DraftKings. DraftKings already got caught cheating. Then they got caught stealing money. So, they're all bad enough. But when you know that they're like this in bed with the NFL, they've even gone as far as saying things now. Now they're saying stuff about like when a player gets like a certain amount of yards, they'll say, "Oh, he passed his player prop, like he passed his FanDuel player prop." Like, so to me, like it's a big red flag. That's another reason I avoid props. I think props are just such a way. They call them boosters, but they're really parlay killers. I bet you way more people lost money trying to boost props. Now there's times I'll do them, and I'll go over them. I go over them with Steven a lot. Different props, different boosts. It's just I would recommend if you can any kind of sports book. Bovada's fine. Somewhere like England only. But at this point, I think the Hard Rock has a sports book, if I'm not mistaken. Now you might have to live in a particular state. What's up on your sandbox? And not much. I was just trashing. No, I wasn't trashing. I was just kind of going into the difference I think with FanDuel and DraftKings versus the actual sports books. Yeah, so I just got done going over them. The most, I'd say the Raiders. I think most people are going to be on the Seahawks. So of all the games, I like the Raiders to cover that for the most. Just because, again, I think the public's going to be on the Seahawks. I really think the Commanders need to win and the Seahawks need to lose, so they can fit that narrative of putting the entire NFC East in there. So for a lot of different reasons, I do like the Raiders to cover. As far as the Cardinals Chargers, I started off thinking Chargers. And then between the line and looking at the possibilities of if the Cardinals win versus the Chargers win, I actually do like the Cardinals with the 2.5. Now, of course, you could buy a half point. I didn't. I just did 2.5, like I did with Jacksonville, because I didn't want to pay for the juice, and I think they could honestly, if they cover the 2.5, they'll probably win. Yeah, I figured most of the money. Now, I was just going into the handles. Sometimes I feel like now some sources are good, but I feel like some can give out some really bad, not accurate handle information. But what I can say is my gut is telling me that about 70 to 75% of the handle would be on the Seahawks. So I would definitely like the Raiders to cover there. That's on DraftKings. Okay, so yeah, DraftKings can be tough. I haven't. The thing I have a problem with DraftKings is they're so open. The NFL is so open about their love. I guess their mutual relationship with DraftKings. I just wonder. But that sounds about like what the the handle would be. Okay, so Bengals touchdown. So this was an interesting game. The Titans won, where generally somebody even put in my comments, you'd always pick like you love the Bengals. Why'd you pick the Titans? And I just said because usually I would pick the Bengals, but it's the game the Titans seem to win every time. So the Bengals did just take a touchdown lead. So we'll have to see what happens with that one. But I think that one's far from over. They like the yeah Raiders plus 180. Rams. Yeah, I think the Raiders. Good chance that they cover, and that's the one I like the most. I think the Hawks. Yeah, so the Heat Hawks is interesting. That one I go with metrics. So I'm going with covers. So when I go to the Heat Hawks, I see that we have we already have one in action too. So here's the thing, we have some that are thanks for bringing that to my attention because I was going into games earlier and then I got a little distracted. So I think they want to make the Hawks look strong at home. I think they want to make Trey Young, look good. I think the Hawks win. It's also a revenge game. Don't forget the Heat knocked them out of the playoffs. So normally I'd take the Heat with the points because they're really bad against the spread. So and yeah, without Jimmy, people are probably going to be fading them. So I like the Heat with the points, but I do think the Hawks win. So I think the Hawks win about a 3 point game, a 4 point game. Um, yeah, they could run away with it, but I think they have to win the game because it's a revenge game. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. I've had a little more time to go into the questions today. It's been a little slower than usual, which is fine. I said before, as long as we can just kind of think tank things, that's what matters to me the most. But yeah, I kind of look at what has to happen in the future and what's happened in the past, and that's why I feel like it makes sense for the Hawks to win that game. You think Houston might come back grinning in their face? I can't imagine they do. Did they? What could they have brought it to? Right now, it's down 18 with the ball. I don't think so. I suppose they could squash the spread. I think the spread still holds there for Miami. I think they're making it a little bit interesting. Teasers, yeah. So like, don't forget, there's parlay killers, right? So you have people out there that might have got every single game right, and then the most obvious one, in my opinion, would be Ravens Jags, right? They pick the Ravens minus 2.5. Most obvious game. And they might lose because of a half a point. So there's parlay killers. I thought the Ravens fit that description, which is why I took the Jags with 2.5. There's other ones that I think fit that description as well. But yeah, and you can do parlays, understand boxing. I can go into it with you in better detail in my Discord. There's ways you can use my system for parlays. You actually have more plays because say you do a parlay that's paying 280 and it misses, you don't have to bet a second unit the next time. You can still bet a first unit. So we can go into that, individually, me and you, if you want. Yeah, Hawks money line's nice, and I think Hawks. Yeah, I think they just win the game. That's one I'd pick the money line. I wouldn't take them to cover, but I do like that, and I think the Raiders are a great spoil team here. Yeah, so 75. So I started with 185. I'm currently around 8 something. Now that's with some outstandings and some in futures, of course. But I would say for 75, you want to start lower. It depends on how many games you're playing. If you're only doing parlays, most people would say like 1%, right? That's like the most like conservative number. Uh, but I think honestly, you could get away with 180. I was doing $25 sequences. Yeah, so like I'm going to show in my next video. I'm going to go through all the sequences. With the way it works, I only need to. I can lose. I can lose a three-legged sequence. So say I lose, doubled up and lose, and let's say the yeah, the Broncos are bad. I think they're going to fire Hackett for sure. I think Justin was right there, and I think so. The Dallas loss yesterday, that was a double up, and this is a triple up, another double up, leg three. If Dallas doesn't cover today, I could double up again, but that's where people kind of go off the rails with the system. What I would do is close it out and accept that I lost 25, 50, and 100 minus 175. But we only need to win three sequences. I'm sorry, seven sequences, 7.5 to break that 175 back. So and I've done 216 sequences now, and we've gone about 20 to 25 sequences without losing one. That's been our ratio. we'll do about 20 to 25, and then we'll lose three. Yeah, so you can do 10, and then essentially, if you're doing parlays, you can go 10, 10. The third time you can go 14 maybe. You don't have to go crazy. If you're just doing spreads like I am, then it would be 10, 20, 40. But yeah, you honestly, I think we went like for the first time we went like 15 or 16 straight, and then we hit our third leg loss. But when we're hitting four or five here, sequences a day, it just takes 2 days to nullify a three-leg loss. And that's what I try and explain to people. It's more about money management than it is about any individual game. So people will like comment like, "Oh man, I had every game but missed this one, and on this one I put 600." And I try and explain to them like, you're shooting yourself in the foot. Like, there's nothing wrong with betting how you want to bet, but I bet in a way that it really doesn't matter who the teams are. It's just the metrics. So I'm just assuming that history is going to hold up, and over the course of a season, the Mavericks are not going to go 12% against the spread. But yeah, $10 is a good first, I think, first unit. It's more conservative, which is good. Because say you started at 20, now you got 20, 40. You can't even do a third leg. So now you could do the Fibonacci sequence, which would be a first unit, and then you do it to get your money back. So you bet like say 10, then you bet 10 again, of course, with juice too, and then you'd bet 20, and then you bet 30, 40, and basically you just do it to get your money back after the first loss. The problem with that one is a lot of times you're just getting your money back when you could be winning a sequence. So I like the 1, 2, 4, and then the closeout. And again, the reason we don't go 1, 2, 4, 8, 16 is once you hit 16, once you're at a fifth unit, you need to win. I think it's 50 something sequences to cancel out one five-legged loss. That's why you'll never see me go five legs deep. You'll see me go, and legs are just levels. I don't want to confuse you guys. I know legs is also used for parlays, but it's just the next level, my next double up. So if the first one wins, it depends on how you're doing it. So I do mine, like if you're doing a parlay, obviously they're going to be in the same sequence, right? You're going to have the two of them if they win. The second I win, I go back to my initial unit. So if I bet 10 and lose, bet 20 and lose, I bet, so then I've lost 30, and then I bet like 40 something and win. Then I go back to 10 after I win. I always go back to my initial unit. So once you win, you don't continue. There are systems where it's like double ups and things like that. To me, it just becomes a little convoluted. So the second my yeah, it's a variation of the martingale. So a lot of people use the martingale, and again, there are cruxes with the system. The biggest one being you can't endlessly double up. So by cutting it off at the third double up, that is where, in my opinion, the brilliance does come in. And I got most of the concept from a guy who was using it to do baseball picks. It was on an online forum like 7 years ago. Yeah, when I think I say legs and sequences, sometimes it throws people off. I just mean a sequence is the bet, and then the leg is the first set unit, the second unit, the fourth unit. So over time, like I said, the numbers are going to hold. So we don't even need to be, we're around 60 something percent this year, but we only need to be around 40% for it to work. Because again, actually 33% makes it work because you only got to win one out of three. So in some cases, we will do a fourth one, we'll do a quadruple up, but it really has to be one that, in my opinion, like this team can't lose. I think we did it with USC versus UCLA because I just knew, and I even bought the half a point because they were like given three and they wound up winning by three. But it was USC versus UCLA, and I knew they had to get in the playoffs, so I opted to do a fourth leg on that one. But in most cases, I'll close it out after three just because you only have to win seven for that 7 to 8 for a three-legged loss, which is much easier than 15. Now I see Jacksonville has the ball, so let's hope they can close out strong. I haven't checked the scores in a while. Yeah, I can say Broncos are cooked. Unfortunately, uh, I guess I was off with them, which is fine. Most of these were first sequences. Browns, I think I think they're gonna get one last crack at it, but looking like that one won't be good. And then we got Jets looking really good. I can't imagine the Bears looking to here to make it 14, and we got seven there. Titans driving, so that one still got a lot of game, and Commanders are holding. So it looks like a pretty break even first half. We probably win one more than we lost, depending. Oh, and then we also had. Let me see how this one went. We did hit the. Well, actually, it depends. It's still in play. Yeah, we'll have to wait on the. on the Jets. I was going to say the Jets looked like they had it. Yeah, Falcons. Yeah, I see the Falcons are in the red zone. So that one's going to be interesting. This is what I was saying earlier. Uh, are they going to play for the field goal? Well, they have to play for the touchdown now. So this one's, coming down to this. They either win anyway, which is what I was trying to explain. And a lot of these covers, the -4, the -3, doesn't make much of a difference. If the Commanders won, then they're going to cover anyway. Obviously, the Falcons aren't just going to kick a field goal here with a minute left. So we can only hope to hold them. It doesn't look great, I'll be honest. They got 2 yards to go with Cordell Patterson. So that one looks like one we might lose at the end. But I didn't expect the Jets to be doing so well, so I'll take it. Anytime we can split, especially with the system, like I was explaining to you understand boxing. Say we split them all, then on the fourth leg split them again, or I'm saying on the 4 o'clock games we split them again on our second legs. By the time we're on the night game, we got like one sequence open, and we've closed like seven. So that's essentially the goal here. So let's say the Falcons do wind up winning, right, or covering in this case, which they're 2 yards away. Very good. Oh, they're 4 yards. Who knows? But just say hypothetically, the Falcons do cover, okay, or any of these teams cover. Then on the next leg would be Raiders. Raiders would become leg two, and personally, I'd be putting $50 on them because I got 25 on them now. So the Broncos, we can assume lost. We can admit they lost, right? Leg two would be Raiders plus four for 50, or it would be the Cardinals game. And I didn't go into the last one that I liked. I went into the Rams. I do like them to cover. I think everyone's just going to assume the Chiefs are going to completely blow them away. Even you don't have Cup, and people just look at the Rams. They think of Cooper Cup. But the last one I hadn't covered was the Saints 49ers, and this is a different story. This one I think that the 49ers, I think they cover it handily, only because the only guy you can push Titans field goal. Okay, the only guys you can push for, yeah, it's a little more than a double up because you're also accounting for some juice. So usually I have to pay like I won't pay to win exactly 25. I'll pay to win like 23, right? And then the second one, say I bet 27 to win 23. On the second one, it would be about 57 to win about 49. So I do that because I don't care if it's exactly 25. I'd more rather just profit on the sequence and not have to go 60 on the second bet, 125 on the third bet. I've found that you save a lot of value doing that. So yeah, it's not exactly a double up. Houston driving, yeah, that should be interesting. They might make it interesting. We'll have to see. But like I was saying, I do like the Niners. I think they cover. To me, that game is going to be an as advertised type of game. You always have a few like that, and I think they need to show how strong they are. And especially if the Bucks win, there's really nothing they can do with the Saints anyway. So having them win to stay kind of competitive with the Bucks would make no sense in my opinion. And I don't think it would be close. I think they have to give them some big wins. Goal line, interception for Washington. Okay, so that's good. So again, we will see on many occasions shenanigans. In this case, it just happens to go our way, and I'll take it any day of the week. But just that's why when I bring things up, it's funny. I'll get someone commenting like, "Oh, you're complaining about this, or you're just crying because you lost," and I'm like, "No, actually, this one we won this game. I was just pointing out that it was bullshit because I like to be fair." Now, they had 2 yards to go, and they have the best running back in the league, at least as far as, in my opinion, one of the best pound for pound running backs as far as in between the tackles, that kind of thing. And they couldn't punch it in. They drove all the way, made it that close just to throw an interception. To me, it just seems like they wanted to troll the people that took Atlanta plus four. So yeah, we'll take that win. I thought the Commanders. We'll see if it's final. A lot of times I'll say it and then like it'll be returned, you know, yeah. So actually, Falcons, I will have a chance, but I can't see them doing anything with it. To Patterson and picked. Yeah, why not just run with Patterson? I don't understand that. Mariota's athletic as well. They could have done some kind of option. It's not like the Commanders. They do have a good defense, but they don't have a 49ers like defense. So yeah, 27 would be about the first leg, 57 would be about the second one. So now you're going to have bet around 84, right? So that's essentially what you want. So then if on the third one you bet to win about 115, it's about a $20 profit. So oh, you're a good man. It's going to change sometimes because sometimes you're getting minus 105, sometimes you're getting minus 110. It really depends on the exact value. But yeah, about 27, 57, and about 109 is what your increments are going to look like. It only goes to second or third. Yes, only if you lose do you move to so since we cleared The Commanders, that's official. That one you wouldn't bet anything more on. Instead, for the Broncos, we would bet a second leg, and that's going to be in my case adding to the Raiders. So we got the Browns driving. That would be nice. Jets looks like it's final. I don't want to jinx us, but we have the ball up 21, and we only need 7. It does look like the Ravens. Yeah, it looks like the Ravens might get something done here. So hopefully an answer by the Jags. And yeah, the Browns might send it to overtime. Now, the good thing about the Browns is we're getting 3 points here. I almost bought the half too, because I think it opened at 3.5, and it had me a little confused. But let me see. Actually, we might have a half. I'm not. No, it's 3 exactly. So this one would be nice to get to overtime. Increases our chances of either a win or a push. Of course, we could still lose, but it's not as likely. So if the Browns can get this touchdown, that'd be nice. That would likely be a win or a push, and the Dolphins basically get a stop. It would be nice. But yeah, all right, good. I'm glad. Yeah, and that's essentially, like I said, if you're in the Discord, I can send you messages going over the exact, uh, you know, increments for each bet. It's really hard. I try and help people, go over with their bank rolls. It's just hard. Um, A, I don't want to, tell you exactly what to bet with your own money, and B, I just want to make sure that you're getting the exact lines too, the exact ESPN lines. Because sometimes my lines are all my like the book. My book matches up really well with ESPN. So a lot of other ones you might be off by 2 points, but I can get with you on that and go into any game you pick. I usually post them in the Discord and what sequence they're going to be. So looking like Bucks might have a goal line stance here, so we'll have to see what happens there. But like I said, yeah, if Cleveland's not to win, yeah, the Cleveland over that one. So when you have teams ones like this, I just put them in the back pocket for next week. So when I take Denver, who's 1-8 this year, by the way, on overs, and now they're going to move to 1-9, I believe, then I just keep it in the back pocket. The same explanation for why I have the Mavericks winning or covering, not winning. They're 4-13. I don't think they move to 4-14, so I just kind of keep it in the back pocket. So I'm doing the same thing with Denver. Next week, we are definitely going to be betting the over again. It'll probably be a leg two. By then, this sequence will have been closed out, but we always have leg twos and leg threes. For the Brown Denver over missing, I like the Colts over, by the way. I think that's tomorrow night or tonight, but they're also something like 1-8 on the over. So that was my goal, is that one of the two teams would go over, and I would pick the one that played first. If they don't, I'm going to double up on the other one. So we really only have to split them, and I do think the Colts go over. So I think that game's tomorrow. I think it's the Monday night game. I can't remember, but to me, again, the odds of two of these teams just continuing to not go over, they would have to defy some historical metrics. But yeah, it's looking like oh yeah, it's just so 3 games on. Yeah, so if you do 27 on them, yeah, so say you win one of the 3, right? And you got 2 open sequences, then you Falcons rough the kicker. Figures. Um that is something they would do too. Uh Helps us again, right? It's like they wanted to make sure the commander's definitely covered. But yeah, so if you say you win one of the 3, understand boxing, then you would do 57 on 2 games later, whether they be basketball games. Like I said, I love the Mavericks, so you could put that one right in your back pocket now for the Mavericks. I'm not sure what happened, Steve. You'll have to let me know. Oh, Brown scored. Okay, cool. So that one's looking like we will push or win. So that's always nice. As you can see, late game shenanigans. A lot of times, yeah, great tight end. It'd be great if they missed the extra point, because then it guarantees we win, we cover. But it's fine. They'll probably go to overtime. But yeah, so I you Stetson game like two. Yeah, so Stetson, that one didn't go under for us. Or over. I think we had him going under. For the leg two there, I do like Clippers to go over tonight. They did go over finally after not going over for a long time. Or go for 2. It'd be nice if they went for 2. Yeah. With my luck they won't, but anything where they would lose here by 1 point would be great. Obviously, we don't really love overtime because there's a possibility they don't win. But I think that it just going to overtime is nice. Cincinnati not looking great, so oh, no problem, man. I try and go into the details the best I can, and also as I'm trying to check the scores at the same time. So right now they have Ravens very close to shattering our spread, so we'll have to see what happens there. But yeah, so for leg two of Stetson, I'm just looking at other college picks that I like that are playing. And to be honest, I like some NBA games a little better. So, like I said, I love Dallas. If you didn't already put, I think you have Dallas leg three with me because they lost yesterday, Don. If you don't, that's what I would do. But yeah, you know what? I love the Celtics to go under. To be quite honest, so for any leg twos, I like the under on the Celtics, and I like the over on the Clippers. And I'm just looking. And again, I love Dallas to cover. I figured I would just hit these now. If you want to bet the Blazers Nets live, you can. I would have leaned the Blazers just again. You know how I feel about the Blazers, but that one I'm not sure what kind of odds you're going to get. Up six, you might actually get around even odds because they do have the Nets as favorites. Warriors T Wolves, it's probably good. I didn't pick that one because I would have suggested we go with the T Wolves all day. With the road record for the Warriors, we would have been wrong on that one. So some of them it's good we miss. But yeah, I would have had the T Wolves all day in that game. So it's a good thing. Oh, good job, man. I'm glad you got the anytime touchdown. Um, but yeah, so we good thing we didn't play the Warriors because I have to be honest, I would have taken the Wolves easy. Uh, but yeah, so Celtics under I like, and let's look at the Grizzlies Knicks. I'm going to tell you why I like the Knicks. They just lost one to Portland. Okay, they just lost another one to the West. Blazers 2.5. Okay, so they got it closer to even. Such a close one. It's funny because I have such a good read on the Blazers, but such a horrible read on the Nets. So I would lean Blazers. Uh, even the money line, to be quite honest. If you're going to get 2.5, I would go the money line. But yeah, here comes the Brady drive. I don't think he gets it done. I think it goes to overtime. Even if he gets three, though, that's okay. We'll push that one. Anyway, the reason I like the Knicks is they went to Memphis. They did cover the spread, but Memphis beat them, and I think the Knicks are going to get this win. I think it's an important win for them. I think these type of games. This is what I was explaining to people where I see the Knicks, the Blazers, Wizards, certain teams differently than I feel like the public. And then there's teams like the Jazz, the Kings that I think are pretenders. Uh, Even Cleveland, I'm not that hot on, to be quite honest. Yeah, Heat might be interesting. That's why I like the Hawks to win the money line. I'm not sure about the spread. The Heat are doing abysmal on the spread. That being said, they've covered a couple in a row. They missed their last one, but before that, they had covered a few in a row, kind of like the Lakers. So I'm gonna just step back on the Heat for a couple games, but I do like the money line. So if someone wanted to do a Hawks money line and parlay it with the Dallas cover or something like that, or I don't know, you might get pretty good. It's okay. I honestly, I was talking like I think it stands for the Heat as well because with the injuries they've been doing the same thing. But yeah, the Dolphins might do it too. Where are they at now? Let's see. They had a very decisive. I know they're up by 15 a second ago. The interesting thing here is the Texans aren't going to go for three. I don't think so. Yeah, the Miami would have to blow a touchdown, which maybe they do. But the good thing is, field goal doesn't blow our spread. It would, but they're not going to go for a field goal. I can't see why they would just go for a random field goal. So yeah, that one's looking all right. Who got the touchdown? It looks like it was complete to B Johnson, whoever the heck that is. Brandon Johnson got the 300. It looks like. So I think that's interesting. And I'm just trying to check the current games. So yeah, Tennessee's got a rough go here. It looks like they're going to have to drive the field and basically do what the Browns just did, which not that they can't do it, but not looking lovely. And again, so if Tennessee doesn't win, then we just take either the Cardinals. I have the Cardinals covering, and I have the Raiders covering, or you can do it with the Rams, or you can do it with the Niners. Those are the four I like to cover. So the Jags need a touchdown here. Browns going to overtime. That one should be good. No problem, Peter, man. It's always good to see you in here, though. You can always watch it back. We didn't have a crazy, narrative going today. We just kind of went over the games in action, went over the NBA playoffs a little bit, things like that. Yeah, I never heard of them either. Hope your family's doing well too. That always comes first. Anytime. I just was able to see my sister for the first time in a bit, so that was cool. The plays for the afternoon, no problem, Frank. So I like the Cardinals to cover just because I originally liked the Chargers. The more I thought about it, I think it made more sense for the Cardinals covering. If you want to buy a half point, you can, but you don't have to. Yeah, we did pretty good, Peter. We got the Jets, it looks like. We got the Commanders, it looks like. I think we got the Commanders. Uh, we should get the Browns because it's going to go to overtime, so we should get that. Dolphins looking a little shaky. The only one that looks really bad is the Broncos. So that's what I get for rolling with Russ, right? Like he'll just make me look like an idiot. But every other one's looking pretty good. We missed the under there too, but it does look like we're going. I think we're going to get the. I do think we're going to get the Browns, and I think the Jags we still have a good chance of getting. Uh, to me, finishing 19-17 to spoil that spread, just like the Commanders got the interception at the end, is something Vegas would do. So I wanted to go into the afternoon games. I like the Cardinals to cover. I like the Raiders to cover. I like the. I do like the. Even though I think a lot of they're getting a lot of points and public might be on them, Frank. I do like the Rams to cover the 15.5, and I like the Niners to cover the 8.5. I think the Niners are going to really look like an unstoppable team. Clips over 220.5. Okay, so that's 8 o'clock. So I mean, you could lock it in now. It might change like a point or two, but I would, like I said, I'm gonna wait a little bit just because it's probably going to be a second or third leg for me anyway. The Broncos lost, so say the Raiders lose, my third leg is probably going to be the Clippers over anyway. So yeah, I would go ahead and you could put a little bit on it at this, but the line might move a little bit, and we've talked about before how they've moved the lines and it's screwed things up. Oh, they play at 4. I don't know why I thought they were 8. Okay, if they play at 4 and you got the line now, well, gosh, I better lock it in. Then yeah, I would. I'm locking mine in. I already had them for a first sequence for a first leg, so I'm just gonna go ahead and make them my second leg of the Broncos not going over. So it's gonna be around 55 ish if you're doing a second leg with me. And if that doesn't hit, I'm just gonna pick the Colts to go over tomorrow. So, or I think it's tomorrow. Okay. Yeah, mine's also showing 220.5. Okay, so at least that one's right. Cool. Yeah, since you won, okay. So the Titans didn't get that one done. So that one we can do a leg two of. Any of the 4 o'clock games I went over. You could make a leg two. The Celtics going under, I like a lot. You can make that a leg two. It's all right. We're not going to get them all. I'm happy we got the Jets. We faded coin flip guy. It was looking pretty close, and I wasn't loving the pick. I did like it, but I wasn't liking it like some others. And we got that, so that's nice. And yeah, so we're not going to get them all. We missed Titans so far, but we got Commanders, Jets, Jags. They're driving. I think we might get that. Broncos we can count as a loss, right? And Dolphins got the ball back, so Dolphins might just cover. Maybe they just wanted to make Houston sweat it out a little bit. It is funny that they cut it all the way to 15, and it looks like that's where it dies for them. So they do that all the time. They just like antagonizing fans, I believe. I don't think it's a coincidence, that they do this. Let me make sure that there's no more basketball games because I know. Oh, cool. Yeah, Miami should be able to essentially just milk the clock here, unless there's real shenanigans. Yeah, Cincinnati is a rough one, and it's not even that's a rough one. But if you read the comment on my last video, again, someone brought to my attention how I always take Cincinnati. Like in this type of game, I would always take Cincinnati over Tennessee. But I was just thinking, I kind of did the Rodgers thing. I just went against my gut because my gut wasn't working. But it's okay. We're not going to get them all. Uh, let's look at the NBA for a second. All basketball picks, all college basketball, I put in my Discord. There's just so many of them for me to list, and I can't even pronounce half the schools to be honest. So it's just an interesting one. Yeah, Warriors looking interesting on the road. So I guess that road narrative is done for them. So yeah, Clippers over. I like Hawks. I don't like to cheap out and just play money lines. I like to play spreads because obviously spreads are, where you're getting 50-50 money lines, you're not. But I would say I would just take the Hawks money line. I really wouldn't want to play that spread. If I had to, I think Hawks win, Heat cover. But looks like he Oh, cool. See, that's what I was telling like to Steven earlier. Like I don't even remember half these games. I just put them in the Discord, because they fit a metric and expect them to about split. So I know we missed. I caught the first one. I feel bad because I know Steve missed it. I don't know if you caught it, Scratch Man. 140 was the total, I think. I got my over under at I think 138 and a half. Steve got clipped at 141. So I want to make sure everyone's getting the same lines. So I want to make sure that we can because I hate to see like everyone catch it except one or two guys get clipped or you know I don't know what books you're using and stuff like that. I didn't see ESPN move much above 140, so it must have been a rough clip. But then again, I fell asleep and didn't wake up until 1 o'clock. So I locked it in late last night, so I don't know exactly what happened with that line. But if you guys, like I said, bear with me. I'm trying to get it in the Discord where we're going to have an active chart going of not only all the teams that haven't won have on all those metrics, their upcoming schedules, but I also want to get it set up where we know what the lines moved to, so we can kind of make sure we always match up that ESPN line. But that's good. So we got Bethune Cook. You were late on. Yeah, I was I was only early. I wasn't early. I just locked it in before I fell asleep because I knew I'd sleep through the game if I didn't. So I caught Missouri State. Like I said, I know Steve got clipped. I'm hoping more people caught it than didn't. I feel bad when that happens because I'm here celebrating and someone's like, "No, I got clipped." So that one's always rough. But yeah, we got about 10 college games in play today. Same format as yesterday, really. Yesterday college games weren't so good. The day before, we almost ran the table. It was crazy. Jags in the red zone. I'm hoping they may. I think Steve. So this is like why I think it's rigged, and we'll see if my theory is right. Again, I think it's just very interesting if Jags at the last minute crush the spread. The Ravens still get their win. Ravens fans are none the wiser, but the Jags just cover that 2.5. And I had said before the game how people just assume 3 points means if it's more than if it's 2.5, then if they win they're going to cover anyway. People assume that every time. Now I'm not saying Jags are going to win. I'm not saying Jags are definitely going to cover, but that was what was on my mind of the people thinking that there's no chance. Well, okay, if we win, we're going to win by a field goal anyway. I think too many people think that way. It's looking good for the Jags if they just run the ball with Etienne. If they're doing some weird shit, if you see Lawrence take a sack, obviously not good, but they could run with Etienne and just get in there. From what I'm looking at, 3rd and 2, he could easily bring it to 4th and inches, probably get the first down, and then you feed him 2, 3 more times, he's in. So we'll see if they're playing to cover here. It looks like they're going to be playing to cover, and I think it finishes 19-17. I could be wrong. Oh, they're at the 1 yard line. So yeah, it looks like we're going to cover that one at the end, like the Commanders, who got the interception at the 1 yard line. And what's going on with the Bucks here? Looking like a very possible push. I don't know who started first. I'm guessing the Browns started with the ball because there's been a lot of time taken. Someone wants to let me know. Rigged penalty. What they call pass interference to put him at the one. So now they could just pop Etienne right in there. That's what I'm trying to explain to people. Uh, TB got the ball. Tampa's got it. Jags. Reds. Yeah, I'm curious. Oh, Tampa started with it. This has been a long drive. Well, that means that, gosh, it looks like this game could end in a draw. This game could end because it looks like Tampa's going to have to punt it here. So the Browns one's looking really good because even if they don't score, I mean, gosh, it'd be really difficult for us to lose because we would need a Tampa touchdown. But even the push is looking like we might not even get the push. It looks like we might get the win. And again, I think it just makes more sense to give again. Tom Brady does not need this win, especially Atlanta just lost. That stuff's not a coincidence. Meanwhile, Watson's coming back next week, and people were telling me the Browns are going to lose because he's not coming back this week. And I was like, no, he's coming back next week. So that's just why I thought, yeah, Cleveland field goal does it. A draw does it. We got him +3. So even if the game goes to a draw, we're good. Uh, we really just need the Bucks not to get the ball back. So obviously the field goal will be nice because I think it means we're over the target with the narrative. Jacksonville at 1. Yeah, again, any day of the week, Lawrence or Etienne could pound this in. They just handed it off to Hasty. I'm curious why Etienne is not in there. this dude. Okay, you got the Browns to 4. Nice. So you will win if the Bucks are able to get a last minute field goal. That's good. And we did get a touchdown. Yeah, and they made it a pass. That's interesting. I don't know why they didn't just run the ball. That must have been some kind of prop where they didn't want to pay people that had. Oh, he's out. See, okay, if he's out, there's no reason that this game should be this close. I'm sorry. Just like further proof it's rigged. And yeah, they went for the. I was gonna say if they went for two, that'd be really suspicious because a field goal wins them the game now. So going for two would have been really suspect in my opinion. But yeah, so we're looking good. Like I said, the 4 o'clocks are about to start. Cleveland, I'm hoping they just waste some time because I'll take a draw. We'll cover then. Chargers, yep, Raiders. Okay, just trying to see. Most of these finalized, so I wanted to go over them. As I had said already, we missed the Titans, unfortunately. We did get the Commanders, missed the Broncos and the over, but we did get the Jets. And it's looking like I can't imagine we don't. Oh, we got the Dolphins. We did officially get the Dolphins. Jags looking good, and I think the Browns looking really good. Again, looks like we got a holding. If anything, the Bucks could win by 3, but again, we would still push. And I'm glad to see that you got that point 0.5, Peter, because I almost bought point because a lot of people had it at 3.5. But for me, it was my book was 3, so I would have had to buy the half to get the 3.5. No, I have to let Russell go. I gotta let him go. Someone told me last week I have to let him go, and I said no, never. But yeah, there's really no chance left. They would need almost every team to win out, to lose out. With the Jets winning, the Dolphins winning, uh, there's too many variables. It would be way too ridiculous, and like they'd have to sweep the Chiefs. They're just and they can't. They're definitely Justin Sudoka was in here earlier. He's definitely right. Uh, oh, he's not our friend anymore. Yeah. Well, I don't know. He's definitely won us money. So Rogers is like a troll. I am convinced that man is watching my channel. But as far as Russell, like he's done pretty good for us. Yeah, I mean, you never know. Typically, I would have taken the Titans to lose. Again, I usually would take Cincinnati, especially with Jamar Chase out, for the simple purpose that Jamar Chase. I think most people are going to say, okay, Chase is out. I like the Titans at home. So I thought the public was going to be on the Titans, which made me want to take the Bengals. But then I thought 9 times out of 10 this happens, the Titans always win the damn game. So I wound up going with the Titans. One second. My dog, he keeps kicking to get in. It's storming here, and come here, Shayna. Come here. She gets so scared when it's storming. She doesn't know what to do. She just like hides under things. She tries to fit under tables she can't fit under. But yeah, it's not storming that hard, but you know how dogs can be with the storms. Browns punting, 5:40 left. So yeah, that one could be interesting. I wouldn't be surprised if that one ended in a draw. Of course, they love giving Brady his comebacks. If I'm not mistaken, which I don't love saying this, but I think this would actually pass Peyton Manning for all-time regular season comebacks for Tom Brady. I could be wrong, but I think he tied him a couple weeks ago, and this would pass Manning. Of course, we never know when that's going to happen, so I wouldn't be expecting he came back on the Browns. It was Bill's first team, so could happen. But I don't know. Something tells me there's a good chance this game ends in a draw. It'd be really interesting if it did. It seems like they're pushing draws this year. What do we have, two already? And we almost had another two. So I think that would be interesting to watch. But yeah, let's see how Jacksonville's looking because they still have some time. So it looks like okay, it looks like Baltimore still has to have their drive. So yeah, if Jacksonville stops Baltimore on this drive, that one's looking pretty good. And that one, again, I might just use that one as like proof that this entire league is rigged. Like, what are the odds that they 2.5 and that Jacksonville just happens to cover the half, right? Or you got the Commanders. Like a lot of these teams, again, nobody had winning, and they were just seemed too good to be true, and it's usually for a reason. Baltimore on their own is 6, yeah, so that's good. There's not going to be any. Uh, they like to keep it looking somewhat realistic, so you're not going to see the Baltimore trying to like score. Oh, did they fumble? Seahawks touchdown 7-0. Yeah, the Raiders are notorious for giving up early touchdowns. They've done it all year. They're the one team I really don't. They're not like the Broncos where when they get down, I'm kind of like, yeah, you're probably right. They're gonna lose. Uh, oh, Lamar fumbled. You guys are all saying, nice. So the Jags might actually win the game. Okay, uh, that'd be interesting. Like I said, uh, for narrative purposes, it makes a lot of sense for the Jags to win. The Ravens losing makes the AFC much, much, much more interesting. Now, I think this is a perfect game to explain why the Ravens are a perfect Super Bowl team. People are going to look at them and say they lost to Jacksonville, or they barely beat Jacksonville. They lost to the Browns. Did they lose to the Browns? Didn't they blow two leads to the Dolphins and the Giants? So people are going to look at that. Yeah, you might be right, Steven. You can tell by the pace if they're playing for a spread. So they might be playing for the tie. Uh, very much, they might want the ball last, but they could be playing for the tie. Yeah, Lamar, hey, they're telling him this is your chance. Let's see how good you can sell. We know Pat can sell. We know Russ can sell. Let's see how good you can sell. I think he's making it look kind of obvious. So I'm wondering if he falls out of favor because what you'll notice is the best way to sell, in my opinion, is the Matt Ryan type of way, the Rodgers type of way. It's not an obvious interception or fumble. What they'll do is they'll get sacked out of field goal range. Uh, they'll miss receivers that were not really open, and then blame the receiver, and then people watching will just assume that the stupid receiver ran a wrong route. But most of these sacks that they take, so Rodgers does it all the time. He'll be at the 27, he'll get sacked to the 35, and then they'll miss the field goal. So I look for that. But yeah, Lamar's been selling a lot this year. Their defense has been as well too. So it should be interesting to see if he sells the game or if that was just so the Jags could cover the spread. Yeah. So anytime, isn't it interesting? Towards the end of the games is when everybody seems to get injured. And it's always these offensive linemen, usually, not always, but almost always, you'll see a lineman just lying there holding his leg. It's not a coincidence, okay? Uh, these guys fall down and get injured more than my 65-year-old mother who just pressurized her house. And it's because, in my opinion, these guys are just they're actors. So what they do is they get injured at the end of a game. They get injured when there's a big play, quote injured during all these times because they need to adjust for the new Vegas lines. So I just don't, to me, that should jump out to people that there shouldn't be more injuries in the final 2 minutes than the entire game combined. But there always is. Jags went up by one. So that means even if the Ravens get a field goal, the Jags still cover. So that could happen for sure. They learn it from soccer. I haven't watched soccer. Do they do the injuries too? Do they have the fake injuries? Exactly, Steve. Yeah, if Ravens win at the buzzer with a field goal, we cover, which is why I took the 2.5. People think that 2.5 doesn't matter, but trust me, there's a reason they put it at 2.5. Oh man, I have to watch that, Adam. Peter, yeah. See, I haven't watched much soccer. People were asking me to do videos, but I don't know anything about the narratives. There was no metrics to go off of. But from what you guys are saying, we can see we could probably do pretty good doing some live bets because yeah, the fake injuries are just such a giveaway. Now you're probably getting. I'd imagine you're getting probably a lot of international money on soccer. Oh, Kenny, isn't that K9 right? Is that K9, Steven? That would be great, Ben, because I really don't like. I haven't watched enough. I'd have to really catch up on this on these soccer narratives. But I'm sure they're there. A lot of people said soccer you can make the most money, so that would be great. Steve, are you talking about K9? They're pushing Walker really hard this year for Seattle, so he's going to get his for sure. I think it's K9 you're talking about, but yeah, I think the Raiders will be fine. Like I said, I think they cover. I think too much public money's on Seattle, just like Baltimore. And again, Baltimore could still theoretically pull it off, but I just didn't think that. I can't imagine anyone took the Jags with only 2.5. I'm checking the Bucks now, and it looks like the Bucks. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I don't. Oh, is it? We have the fake injury now. That's always good because that might set up a Brady sack on this play. A lot of times specifically when they bring up the tackle, more so than a guard or center, they'll bring up the tackle being injured, and then he'll get beat off the edge, and they'll explain because he's a backup tackle. Oh, he did get sacked. Oh, he got sacked now. You mean? Oh, 4 yard sack, Miles Garrett. Cool. Yeah. So you can see the narrative. Yeah, you can see the narratives. Like, not to sound cocky, but some of these you can really just call the exact play. It's not my first time either. There are certain times. Another time that a team is going to lose is the quarterback will get sacked. So you'll have the team come back, right? Say Josh Allen comes back and goes up two, and now it's Lamar Jackson's turn, right? And he gets sacked on the first play. Almost every time they lose the game, I've noticed that. So the team trying to make the comeback, they'll usually get sacked every single time. Now you can argue, oh, it's they're waiting for guys to get open. No, it's not that at all. Yeah, so that this is the good thing. Cleveland is going to draw the game, and I find it funny. Isn't it 4th and 13 now? 4-1-3. That number just seems to pop up everywhere. But anyway, I do find it interesting here. So we should win this game no matter what, because it should be a draw or a Cleveland win. I suppose they could turn the ball over, but I think we're good there. So that'd be nice. That's what I'm thinking. You get Watson back, and Ravens got a deep ball. Well, the good thing, well, it depends. It depends on where I place them at. Let's see where they're at. Okay, not great. I honestly think, I really do think they play for the field goal here. Yeah, I think they play for the field. I don't want to get anyone's hopes up. I really do think they play for the field. I think too much has happened in this game for to set up the Jags covering for the Ravens to then Lamar to just score a touchdown. Now I'm not saying they can't. It looks like they're running pretty well. They're at the 14. I do think we get a goal line stand, and it's 22-20. If the Jags had no timeouts, it would make it easier because then they could almost run it all the way out. Another injury. Yep, you got overtime. The world watching. So the other games are basically finalized. So now you're getting a lot of action on the Bucks. So, oh, is it locked? And they might have made up their minds. It might just come down like to, yeah, there's not much they can change. I think they know outside of something ridiculous, the Bucks cannot win this game. It's got to be a draw or a Cleveland win. So those would be the only two options I would see. Denver. I'm sorry, Ima. Uh, this is what I try and tell people all the time. As strong as much as I love certain teams or I don't love certain picks, I never put more on. I don't. I would never invest more in, like, I wouldn't just put a bunch on one game ever, just because we never know when I'm going to be wrong or right. And like we did really good today. We hit almost every pick except Denver. So you know that's why I just play 25 on all of them. And if they don't hit, like Denver didn't hit, I'm personally playing $50 and on the next one. I have Arizona and I have the Raiders. Now I know the Raiders didn't start off too good. Hoping Arizona can split it up for me. Arizona, okay. Looks like they played decent defense. And the Raiders are driving too. So I mean, that's why I play the system. I just never drop a bunch on one particular game. It's all my system's way more about money management and metrics than it is about knowledge of the sport. Carr's hurt. Yeah, the Cardinals. Yeah, the Cardinals. I do like them. I think much more public money is going to be on, just in my opinion, on the Chargers. Last night I was leaning Chargers, if you remember, and then I said I'll let you know for sure tomorrow, and I did wind up going Cardinals. 1.5. Okay, I got 2.5, I think, but even still, it's one of those games where this one I picked because of a narrative. I didn't really pick because of the spread. I picked A because it's a trap, I think, and B because I think they want, in my opinion, to have Arizona win this game, keep the Chargers in the hunt. If the Chargers win, it makes it where the NFC has like nobody that they can arguably get in the wild card. It's pretty obvious who's going to get in right now. If the Cardinals win, now you still have the Cardinals, Seahawks, other teams, the Commanders, but the AFC is wide open with a lot of teams. The NFC is not, and they don't like closing it out, in my opinion, having the playoff basically locked in week what is it, week 12. I just don't think they're going to do that. So I do like the Cardinals for that reason. That I just feel like certain teams can't win. So 90 seconds left. Yeah, this one it would take something insane for us to lose. We got the Browns +3 in a game that I think is going to be a draw, just because they really seem to love these draws. Oh, the Ravens did get a touchdown. Okay, so now the Jags are going to have to come back with one of their own, and they got about so they got to have Lawrence run the 2 minute drill, and we'll cover that one. Which again, I think we do. I think it's been a lot of back and forth. I think it's just a troll Ravens fans, to be quite honest. Oh no, we're doing NBA. I went over the games. So I like one might have just started. I like the Clippers over. Oh, good. So the Brown. Okay, so Browns is final. Cool. I like the Clippers over, Peter. I love Dallas to cover. They play Milwaukee +6. I love the under on Boston, and there is a couple others that I did like. Let me go into them real quick. I hit them a couple times in here. I'll try. I was going to do a separate video for the NBA, but with football going on, there's just sometimes it's hard to play every game. So live, I told people, and personally, I do like the Blazers based off the way the game's going. I think the Blazers pull it off. Clippers has started. Like I said, I like the over on that one, but I like the original over because of the metric. So I'm not sure if that one you have time on. Ravens got two, yeah. So either way, the two doesn't matter too much, only because the Jags weren't going to kick a field goal, right? So the Jags were going to go for a touchdown no matter what. So it doesn't. They're going to have to get the touchdown regardless. So in my opinion, what makes it worse is yeah, if the touchdown would have won it for us, now it might go to overtime if we do get one. I get that, but yeah, it's really going to come down to if Lawrence can get his drive. 223.5 is the live. It's a little higher than the 220.5, so it's 3 points off. I got it at 220.5, so it really just depends. Uh, I think if it goes over, the odds of it being that 3 point window would be minute, but we've seen it happen before. Yeah, so they're probably catching up to the action on the Browns one to see what they do there. The other games I did like is I do like the Knicks to cover. They're only getting 3, but I think they cover and possibly win, Peter, because Memphis won the first game, and I think they're trying to push the Knicks as a play-in team, and push the Knicks as not a 500 team, but a little bit above 500, where they finish with like 43, 44 wins, maybe 45. I think they get around 45, and them and the Wizards, in my opinion, are gonna be pushed as formidable threats. Where if you look at their team, they're deep too. So you can definitely explain away the Knicks winning at home. So yeah, I do like the Knicks in that one. I think they hold serve. And then I love the Mavericks. They play later tonight. And the Hawks, I like the money line because I think it's a revenge game for Trey Young. They got booted by the Heat. So I think the Hawks win. I'm just not certain they cover. All right, so Cleveland, yeah, I mean, I would like to see them. Like I said, if they win, it means our narrative is more right because I picked them because of the narrative, not because of the points. I picked them because I think them winning before Watson comes back makes sense. So obviously, if they win, it's good. It means we were over the target. But the cool thing is, we won that one anyway. It seems like I do too, Peter. And they just did it on the Knicks. So then you wonder, like, oh, are they going to do it again? But and the other tough thing is, I'd say my worst read this year in the NBA has been the Nets. One of my worst reads, because I just don't know if they're punishing them or not. And one of my best reads has been the Blazers. So it's tough when I have to pick that game. But yeah, I do slightly prefer the Blazers. Oh, the Raiders did score. I can check. I mean, it seems like Adams is the only guy that does use it. Let me see. It was Abdullah. Abdullah scored on a deep pass. I didn't know 15 yards was deep or 18 yards was deep, but yeah, he scored on a quote deep pass from Derek Carr. Yeah, I like the under. They're around 60, mid 60s on the over, and they might even be closer to 70. They did go under finally a couple games ago, but it's one of those where I think people are going to be pounding the over, so I like the under. Omar Abdullah, yeah, and the Browns scored. So yeah, so Browns is final again. Flag. I think it still goes final. It might have been a celebration after the play or something stupid. But either way, I think the Browns get it done. Uh, Again, the Bucks don't need this win. Uh, their division sucks. Atlanta just lost. They don't need this win, so they could lose a lot of games that they should theoretically win just to fade the public, and they'll get in no matter what. Good jobs. That was a good. Yeah, that was a good cash. That one. I felt confident with. I do with all my picks. That just because of the Bucks narrative, the Brady meltdown, the fact that he really hasn't had a great season if you think about it, but they're still going to get in the playoffs. I'm curious to see. So the Raiders, yeah, the running back, yeah, he tied it up. Yeah, leg two. That's why certain ones I'll pick for leg two, and other ones I'll pick for leg ones, just because I have more faith in some than others. Uh, that's why this even with as much as I love Russ, he was a leg one, just because we've seen when I see them only getting 1.5 against the Panthers, I have to try and put any kind of narrative bias I might have aside. So the Jags, not looking great. Now I can foresee a Trevor Lawrence sack on the next play. So if you're following the Jags game, it just went to the 2-minute warning. It looks like this looks like I've seen this kind of script a million times. I might be wrong. We'll see if I can call another sack, but I think Lawrence gets sacked when they get back from the 2-minute warning. It's always like a 2nd and 10 when the guy that's going to lose winds up going for the drive. The game tying drive after the other guy just took the lead. They usually wind up getting sacked. So we'll see if he gets sacked. 2nd and 10 now on his own 25. I'm just curious to see if he does. And then for the other ones, Cardinals looking good. They got a stop and they're driving. And yeah, all the other ones finished out. So we had a good day. No way. Stop it. He did not get sacked. Did he really get sacked? Look, this I have the 2-minute warning here. I don't know if you could see it, but sacked for 11. Oh, Calais Campbell got him. That's what it's so freaking obvious. I wish we could make these kind of live prop bets that somebody was going to get sacked on the next play because it's something that I don't think anybody would just call, but they do it every time. No, it's the fact that I've seen the same script, Peter. It's like they did it last week. My last live stream, I said someone was going to get sacked, and they did. Um, yeah, because they have the one team come back, and then the phony team that's going to come. I think it was Daniel Jones that got sacked. Um, Clint Capella, he makes a difference. He makes a big difference for the Hawks. So that's why I could see them winning maybe without the cover because they explain him away for a lot of the offensive rebounds. Yeah, Steve, like the script has to be, from what I can tell, uh, one quarterback comes back and he plays 7-on-7 basically. Like there's nobody, stopping him. And then when the team that's scripted to lose gets the ball, it's like a sack and then an arid pass. It happens like every single time. Yeah, Bam could be interesting. He can come out and look like, a more athletic Dwight, or like you said, he could look pretty weak when he's being matched up against some really good players. So that one's going to be interesting. I think that yeah, I'll go over the NBA again. Oh, Lawrence did get it 16 yards. I don't just because he got sacked, I don't think they're going to win. But maybe I'm wrong. Uh, NBA, I like now the Clippers over. I liked a lot. I think you did get that one done though. I hope. It's looking like it should fade over. Oh, the Titans game. Yeah, Neil. It's ridiculous sometimes. The sacks are what annoy me the most. Because they'll do it. Yeah, it's interesting they're driving. I just don't like that sack because I've never seen that sack that it's easy to predict, and then they score. But let's hope they get it done. No, because it wouldn't make a difference. I mean, unless they really wanted to show us it was rigged. So to recap the NBA picks, I like the Hawks money line. I know it's kind of a cheap out Don, but just because I like, I don't, I think they hit the money line, and I actually think the Heat cover the spread. just because I think Trey needs a comeback game, a revenge kind of game after losing in the playoffs. But I think a lot of money is going to be on them -4.5 too. Yeah, he's very athletic. He's like there's a lot of players. And if he can improve his basketball IQ, Capella would be a lot better too. But he's just a good and Bam's thing is, I think his basketball IQ needs to improve. He'll make some very questionable decisions. So I like the under on the Celtics, Don. So under on the Celtics. Hawks, I like the money line. Heat to cover though. And I like the Knicks actually. I like the Knicks to cover. I think the Knicks win and cover, but I would take them to cover to be safe. That's interesting with the yeah, exactly. Yeah, and they wouldn't kick a field goal because they're playing. They're at least pretending to win, right? So a touchdown is what they need. And I do like the Mavericks to cover the Bucks, as you probably know, Don, because I'm just going with them until they cover, and I think that'll be tonight. So I'm not playing the Cavs Pistons. There's just nothing about the game that jumps out to me. Yeah, that's yeah, to win with Duncan. Yeah, it depends. I mean, it depends on how he plays. I've seen him play really bad and really good, to be honest. But I agree. I think if he's their main threat, I think the Hawks will be fine. Yeah, but that's typically if they're down two scores. So they'll be down like 11. So they'll try and get the three first, and then they'll try and get the eight. In this game, they're down seven. It would be one of the worst decisions, just because they're already in. This is their best chance of getting the touchdown. So I know what you're saying, but typically they'll do the field goal first if they're trying to get two scores. If they only need one, I just don't see why they'd kick the field goal. I don't think it would accomplish anything except prove that it's definitely rigged. It looks like one final actually. Oh no, I was sorry. Yeah, it's interesting. They are moving the ball. I mean, time's kind of an issue, but doesn't have to be. But yeah, I mean, I've seen crazier things, so I know what you're saying. They could do something crazy. Without Jason Tatum, I still think the under hits 75% on Hawks. That lines up. I think more would be on the Hawks, to be honest. With Jimmy hurt, I don't see why many. And the Hawks are looking better this year, and they're at home. 3-6-36. That's interesting, huh? Um, it looks like they just got a big completion too. But oh, with the suit, I don't know. I like the white tee. No, the suit's cool. Like I said, I have a couple. I don't know. I think I told you last time about Seth, but yeah, I actually like have really my skin will turn red because of the like a tiny disagreement disturbing fact, fabric. It'll make turn my skin red. So I like the plain white tee. Really, it's comfortable. Oh, they did score a touchdown. So that's interesting. So it does go against my sack theory that when they take the sack on, so I have to reassess that one. But now we would just hope they block the extra point or something. This one's one I really don't want to see in overtime because, again, with 2.5 overtime means we have to win the game, which I think we can do. But I would love to see them go for two or something instead and just cover the spread and not have to deal with overtime. But we'll see what happens there. Yeah, Tatum, it will be interesting. I don't know. Uh, okay, he's a defensive liability. So you think that their defense might play better without him, which would be good, obviously, because I think the under hits anyway, and that would fit that theory. And I just wanted to cover. I'm going to the night game before I finish out, just in case I can't do a video for it, I probably will. But I'm taking the Packers to cover. Yeah. Oh, Golden State. I thought you were gonna say Green. Yeah, Golden State definitely. I'm glad we missed that one because if you had asked me before the game, who do you like? I would have said, oh, Wolves to cover because they're pushing the Golden State sucks on the road narrative and all that. Yeah, I could hedge it. I'm just gonna hold because I notice when I do hedging and stuff, it winds up throwing off a lot of my. Then I gotta bet more on the next one or less. Um, I could have if it was like a third leg, I'd probably hedge it because in that case, I would be getting I just want to close out the sequence for a net profit. But since it's only a first sequence, I'm just gonna let it roll, and now I could, as you said, if I was giving 3 points, I would love to do that because then I'd catch both sides. but here I don't really catch both sides. KZ fumbled the punt. Well, that's good for us because we have the Rams plus 15 and a half. I think they cover that too. Now, going into tonight's game, I like Green Bay to cover because it's very simple. I won't belabor it. I would normally take Eagles to wipe the floor with Aaron Rodgers, but because I would normally do that and he has gone against my gut every step of the way, I'm using some reverse psychology and just taking Green Bay to cover. If you want to buy the half point to 7, you can, but I think Vegas just wants to squeeze extra juice out of people. That's why they set it at 6.5. So I would wager to say if 6.5 doesn't cover for us, I don't think 7 would push. They're either going to get blown off the field, or I think they're going to win or lose by way less than 6. So I'm not buying the half point. I am going to make it a second leg. I will make it a second leg of, well, the Titans, because the Denver one we already said our second leg. We got Arizona, and we have Oakland in play. Or I'm sorry, Las Vegas. But yeah, so for the Titans, I'm going to make the second leg the uh, the Green Bay Packers to cover. I think they cover the 6.5. So that's my pick. If you want to sprinkle some on the money line, you can. Again, I have a very interesting theory where so far at the NFC, almost all of the picks that I made to fit this theory have made sense. Washington had a win for this theory to work. Uh, it doesn't really matter what happens with Seattle and who else had it. There's another team that lost that had it. The Bucks. No, not the Bucks. I think the Giants losing played into it. Oh, good. Going for 2 is huge because that means we win no matter what. That's perfect. Um, okay, so that's perfect. So we win no matter what when they go for 2. I like that much more than overtime, unless somehow they turn it over and they return it for 4 points, right? No, but I think we'll be good. Um, but yeah, so Green Bay I like as a second leg, but because I think Green Bay is going to finish strong. This is my narrative with Rodgers. They finish strong and they wind up just missing the playoffs. The Commanders get in. Rodgers has a crazy run, but just falls short by means of tiebreak or one game. That's why I do have the. Uh, I think I have them covering for sure the Packers, and I think there's a good chance they might win. Turnover Baltimore. How would they turn it over? Or did the, or are you saying they didn't get it on downs? Oh, timeout. Okay. Yeah, thanks, grinning in their face. Basically, uh, I like gematria. I believe it exists. I believe symbolism exists. I think a lot of these people do the best they can, and I have no problem with it. The issue is, I think people have a hard time putting their bias. I have a hard enough time with the narratives, but I'm able to put my bias aside on teams. Even if I think a team's going to win the whole thing, that doesn't affect how I bet any individual game. With gematria, I think somebody sees. Ravens could go through, 5-6, whatever the record is, right? Could go 6-5, and then they just start plugging in everything into their calculator that fits Ravens 6-5, instead of being honest and looking at both sides of the gematria and seeing what comes up. So we straight up won that one. That's cool. I took the points to be safe, but it's always nice to win. Again, I didn't think that 2.5 made any sense. Nothing showed me that the Ravens should have only been a 2.5 point favorite. But yeah, so I appreciate it grinning. Like I said, I appreciate gematria. I know it exists, but yes, I could come out tomorrow with a video on why the Colts are undoubtedly going to win and have at least 20 examples. And then I can give you the same reason the Pittsburgh's going to win and give you 20 examples. I promise you I can do that. And I'm not trying to come off again like in any negative way towards people that do gematria. It's just something to take into account. That's the reason I'll use it for videos. I'll use it to an extent, but I'm not going to make it my final decision. And again, a lot of it comes to money management. So they might be right on some of their picks, but if they're dropping 10 grand on a game because of it, and it doesn't go their way, it's only half of the equation. One half, the, it's psychological money management. knowledge of the metrics and then knowledge of the teams. It takes so much more, and gematria is part of that. So to me, to just focus on gematria is, if that's what you want to do, it's good, but it's not going to tell you who's going to win a game. Now, anybody can say after the fact, "Oh, well, it's obvious this team was going to win," and they could plug in that side of the gematria. But if you notice, not many people are doing it beforehand successfully. Um, yeah, Jags won. Again, that's a narrative. I didn't use numbers, and I'm not saying all my narratives are right, but the Jags and Browns winning really fits a narrative. You don't want to knock these teams out of the playoffs in week 12. It's the same reason in college football they have they still have it right now where people don't know who's in. Although I think USC's are in and Ohio State's out, but they made it come down to the final week. It wasn't a coincidence Michigan played Ohio State the last week and Clemson lost, and you had all these matchups. Yeah, I can't imagine. I mean, if so, anything can happen, right? But it would be pretty crazy for Baltimore to win this game. And even if they get the field goal, right? Because they do have, don't they have Tucker? Even if they get the field goal, it would be interesting because we would still cover. So that's always nice too. Uh, and that's why metrics are important, and money management. All those things matter. So because it's not always about just a win or a loss. Sometimes you have to, if a team's a big favorite, then gematria is not going to help you. You need to know how much they're going to win or lose by. Give me 1 second. Let me my. I don't know why I think I'm the only. I must be the only person in America that has a landline that, because even my folks and even my sister and my friend, anyone I talk to, they're like, "You're the only person with a landline I know." Like, so I must be the only person that gets spam calls on Sunday. You guys can let me know if you do too. But I get spam calls to my landline like every Sunday, and it's just weird. I only got a landline because it was actually cheaper than not getting one. But Jacksonville, nice. Yeah, I figured Jacksonville was going to pull it off. I didn't see. Um, like I said, once there was 2 points for a while, I really liked our 2.5. Uh, I wasn't like positive we were going to run away with it, but there was a reason it was two. It was that 9-7, and then it kind of stayed like that basically the whole way. It was just very suspicious. Same with the Browns. They hung in there and they took it. They took it in overtime. So I think this was all just to troll Ravens fans. They made them wait the entire, or people that bet the Ravens, make them wait the entire game only to lose at the end. Oh man, yeah. Well, we're gonna do good. It's luckily grinning in their face. There's a lot of people that, yeah, that's good. I got 15.5, but I mean the 1 point, it would be really weird for them to win by exactly 15. So yeah, I like that. Uh, yeah, I just feel like, especially if you've been following for a while, there's a lot of people that at the beginning they're like, I'm going to tail and then see what happens. And I think they see like over any period of time, even during down, we had a couple down days. Thursday sucked, and yesterday wasn't a great day. We finished strong, but yeah, I do know Butler's out. I don't think they can make whoever they want win. I think, just my opinion, Peter. But I do think that 33 points. That's interesting, Adam. They always got to get their numbers in there over time. Grinning, you'll see, especially if you're in the Discord, you'll see that these metrics split, and we hit way more than 7 for every. So if you know how my system works, we only need to win 7.5 sequences for every three-legged loss, and in this case, we're at like 20 wins for every three-legged loss. So it's good to have a decent bankroll, as like I said, a good buffer, and to do modest amounts. But yeah, there hasn't been a time really that I've been in the red outside of having money tied up in futures, or a bunch of money in outstanding. But yeah, it's just really about playing the long term metrics. So I think you'll be, and a lot of people are tailing me with micro. They're doing like $1, $2, $4, and that way they can test it out and then they start jumping in. Steven's tailing me unit for unit, which is cool. So we're on a lot of the same games, and I'll tell you, this guy's got some bad luck on 2 games. Like, we literally got the same game like a point and a half apart, and he got clipped. So like I felt really bad. I thought I had the worst luck. I think he might have me beat. Oh, you put 400 on the Rams. Okay, that's a good bit. So for me, that'd be like a fifth unit. And I think people were just looking at them as bums, and without Cooper Cup, they're looking at them as like a bottom three team because they quote understand that that's the only good player on the team. So I think people just expect like a freaking, I don't know, 42-7 win by Kansas City, which could happen. I'm not saying it can't happen, but the Rams are really bad against the spread this year. Again, those things typically average out. So I feel like they cover that spread, and as many points as it is, it just made more sense for me that it gets covered that it doesn't. Yeah, it's and I have a playlist too. I know it's long to watch. I'm gonna try and like maybe find like a way I can. I'm not too savvy if you can't tell with like the recording and all that, but I'm gonna try and find a way to maybe snip shorts out of each playlist. So like if you want to watch like every single bet that I've made, live, you can get them all. Like I said, in the playlist, I do have every single. The only ones that aren't in the playlist are the ones that I literally put up in my Discord at midnight. All the no name college basketball ones, which actually we've done the best with. They have been the shadiest with like flipping points, but college basketball, I just looked. I think I'm at 71%. Just and it's just metrics. We had a really strong day. I think it was 2 days ago. Yesterday wasn't so good, but yeah, with college basketball and all sports, really, it just really it balances out. So, yeah, if you want to join the Discord, like I said, it's free. There's nothing going on as far as you just have to sign up. Uh, I think you'll be able to see all the picks that I try and post everything in there, and I try and update people too. So if I see live shit going on that I think's weird, I'll let people know. Thanks, I appreciate it. I do my best, and a lot of people in there are helpful too. Where, like Steven, if I'll just put all the teams I think that are going to cover, then he'll reorganize it for me, and he'll put when they're playing, uh, you know, uh, who they're playing, all that different stuff, the actual spread sometimes, because believe it or not, it takes me a while to sift through team rankings and find every team on a college day that's playing. So it takes me like 10, 15 minutes just to sift them out. So then I'll just put, I think all these teams cover. I think all these ones go over, and I think all these go under. And he's organized it for me a couple times where if you're watching, you'll be able to see when they're playing and stuff. So I always appreciate that. We have a lot of great people on the Discord too. I hope the Rams comes through for you, Neil. I think a lot of us got money on them, so it'd be nice to see them come through. Yeah, it's Jacksonville final. It's funny. Yeah, nothing wrong at all with a lot of people in my thing, in my Discord do micro because again, there's 365 days in a year. You don't have to win $100 a day. People just have to look at it. If you knew you're going to make X amount at the end of over the course of a year, then you would definitely take it. Okay, so Ram 16 is indicating that they're leaning Chiefs to cover Vegas slightly, or it just means there's a lot of live action. I do like the Cardinals. I haven't had great luck with the Chargers this year. Usually they've done the opposite of what I've picked. So I'm glad we picked that one as a second leg. I think the Cardinals, we got 10 plus we're working with 2.5 more. Obviously it's early, but that should finish out strong, I think. And Raiders, we're getting 4, so technically we're covering right now. That'd be nice. Yep. We got Cards, Raiders, and then Niners. Niners looking all right. So yeah, okay, we're looking pretty good. I think we're gonna have a really strong day. I never like to over or under embellish anything, but as it stands now, Broncos put us at 0-2 because we missed the under as well, and Bengals put us at 0-3, but we rebounded with Jags, Dolphins, Jets, Commanders, and Browns. So yeah, we're 5-3 as it stands, and we'll have to see how these games go. But I think we continue to do well. Yeah, Neil. I think it was a little light, don't you think? I think 3.5, 4 would have been more viable, but I think 2.5. It reminded me way too much of Jacksonville. Only Jacksonville was even worse because the Ravens are actually a really good team, whereas the Chargers are inconsistent. But I agree. To me, that was a trappish kind of game. Nice. So we got SMU. So that should have evened us up on college. And this is all Discord I put in there. Thanks for letting me know that. I appreciate it, Scratch, because um, I don't have time to check some of the times. So Heat organizing it and Scratch kind of like coming in and letting me know, what they won, what the spread was, kind of helps it where I can kind of because I watch these back. By the way, there is a person named Lights Out. I doubt he's watching. he was watching my last one live, and for some reason, because it shows me afterwards all the chat, I answered everybody's question because I have OCD and I want to make sure I address every single question. And for some reason, he had wrote like a bunch of stuff, and it wasn't coming up at the time because afterwards, when I watched it, I saw that like I was like, I don't remember this question. I don't remember this question. I don't remember this question. So hopefully next time lights out's in here, that doesn't happen. I don't know if it was a delay, but I would feel alienated. I'd feel kind of annoyed if I'm like someone's answering every question but mine. But I just want him to know that wasn't intentional. Uh, I just for some reason didn't see the chats and there were no, just basic questions. He was asking about the Broncos, I think, about the NBA games, and I just wasn't seeing them. SMU's good. Yes, Steven. Yeah, he's the one who organizes them for me. The college ones. He'll do them in the morning usually. He's been doing it, and it helps a lot. Yeah, a lot of times they'll split the quarters, so that's good. If they took the first and third, there's a good chance we take the second and fourth. Oh, 1,200. Who? No, I would never I see. I don't know how much money you're working with, but I would never recommend someone just. For me, that's a lot of money, so I wouldn't recommend dropping that on any game. But if for you that's a modest amount, then yes, I think it's a good. Oh, 1,200 for Rams. Oh, you mean money line? Uh, gosh, I don't think they can win. I think they just want people to kind of take, okay, it's too good, $100 wins me over 1,000. I would stay away. Uh, I wouldn't bet the opposite because you're not going to get the odds. That's why they do it. I'm not saying it can happen, but I just like the cover. I think it moved, so now it's like what 16 and a half or something. I do prefer the cover. I think it's a better play. Yeah, I thought you were saying 12. I'm like, oh, well, if you have that kind of, some people that's nothing for, so I don't know. Down four, maybe the Nets pull it off. I've usually been pretty good with the Blazers this year. Like I said, the problem was I'm also not great with the Nets. So I'm seeing a 1 point game. Maybe they just hit a three. Oh my guy! Oh no, I thought Shade on hit a three, but it was Ant. Yeah, you'll be surprised, right? I'm sure you see it in the Discord. I think you're in the. You'll see. Someone people was posting tickets of 5, 10,000. It's crazy. I think some of them are. They don't lock them in, but it's just interesting to see the amount people put in. Dav. So 17 and a half, very possible. I just think they cover, yeah. So Dav, I just want to see what there's Atlanta -4, they drop point 0.5. Oh, the Hawks. Yeah, they'll do that. It's because of public action. Public action. What I think of the Commanders game, Dav, is kind of what I thought going in. I thought too many people were going to see +4 for Atlanta and think, well, these are basically even teams, and they were going to take the +4. I also think they need this NFC beast narrative. I've been talking about it for a bit. For that to happen, the Commanders have to win games, and they have to win. Heineke has to look good. So I took them minus the 4. The end interception was obviously, in my opinion, rigged. It happened to work out for us, which is nice. But yeah, in my opinion, that you just run the ball if you're Atlanta, you have core. Don't you have? I think did someone say Patterson was out or something? No, that was Etienne. Patterson easily could have got in and scored. They could have won. Mariota could have done anything, but of course he threw an interception just probably to troll the Falcons fans, just like they trolled. We had the Jaguars with minus +2.5, just like they trolled the Ravens fans. They made them sweat it out till the end, just like they trolled the Texans fans who came all the way back only to not cover by a point. So all these went our way. My point is they definitely troll fans, and it's sad. It's messed up that they do it, but they most of them went our way today, which is cool. So and the 4 o'clock games are looking good too. But yeah, the Commanders, I think they needed them to win, and I think at the same time they didn't mind robbing the public, who was probably all over Atlanta. So you got the money line 49ers money line, and then okay. So I like Green Bay and the Rams. Uh, I love the Niners money line. So yeah, I mean that one looks pretty good. I think I can't see why that one wouldn't hit. But yeah, Dav, like I said, I think so much of it's narratives, and the narrative in this case is the Commanders. If you remember, Ron Rivera said when they asked, I went over this a little bit ago, what's missing that you guys don't have that the other teams in the NFC East does, and he said a quarterback. And sorry, like I said, my doggy gets a little freaked out when it storms. Uh, He said we're missing a quarterback. Yeah, 366. That's good odds. I mean, I think that could definitely hit. And if not, well, we could figure out a second leg to get that money back. But yeah, he said we're missing a quarterback. Of course, they played it off like it was nothing, but you knew it was something. And Heineke's come in and he's looked like Shane Falco. They're actually reminding me of the Sentinels. I actually had them winning one week because of some symbolism with that movie, The Replacements, and they did win. I know it sounds crazy, but it was a commercial that kept playing that reminded me of the Replacements, and Washington happened to be playing that Thursday. It was when they were playing the Bears, and they kept showing those weird Thunder Sky commercials. It's like an amusement park. But anyway, there's a lot of symbolism. But yeah, the Commanders I think get in the playoffs. I think Dallas gets booted out to be honest, and the entire NFC East gets in. And I'm starting to think they do the same thing on the AFC side. The only thing I'm wondering is if the Patriots get into Dartmouth +4. Yeah, I know we're playing Dartmouth. You correct me on that one too, because again, I look at some of these at 2 in the morning, and I'm looking at spreads, and I was fading whoever they were playing, South Alabama. So I wanted to fade them, but since I had their name on my mind, I put them in as the team to pick. But Steve, since he knows how the metrics work, was quickly able to say no, they're undefeated against the spread. We want the other team that hasn't won. So I appreciate that, Steve. That stuff means a lot. It really helps because I'm trying to. We don't have a lot of people on the Discord, but we're growing. We have over 100, so we have a lot of people that have different insights, and they log in to see the picks. So if I make a mistake, I definitely scratch. Um, Teamwork is definitely. They say teamwork makes the dream work, but it's true. Uh, you know, if Steven doesn't catch that, now my whole metric's out and I gave a bad pick. So I really appreciate when people catch it and the people that organize and I have stressed. I don't know if he's in the YouTube or not, but he always comes in and brings in alpha as far as player props. Ben Israel, he posts a lot of winning picks. I did notice. I don't know, Ben, if you're in here. Uh, it's weird because there's a lot of people in my Discord. They just kind of post pics after the fact, which is fine if you want to, But I would love the people that do that to, if you want to like post ahead of time, maybe let us know why you like those games. Again, for me, it's always it's about being a team, not beating each other. So I like when people post like ahead of time or who they like and why they like them. It's nice to help each other out. ESPN's got them +5. You're at 4.5, or you're saying +4. So who's your book's got it, or FanDuel or whatever has them at +4, 4.5. When it's that close, like I said, I mean with the college games, there's so many, you don't have to play every single one of them. You got 4.5. It's close. I would still say go with it. You'd have, like I said earlier, I know you've had some bad luck, but to get clipped on half points this many times would just be nuts. No, I don't. I use just a sports site. I don't use FanDuel or DraftKings. I just feel like they set up lines so you kind of have to pick a very specific combo, and they make it seem like you can kind of mix and match, but the odds are in my opinion, very sketchy. You can I don't think you could buy half points, and I've just gotten way worse juice than on my sports book when I've because they have like an online simulator FanDuel what their odds would be like, and my sports book just seems to have better juice than I'd get on FanDuel. So I mean, if you can, I would definitely suggest trying to get a different sports book. Yeah, they'll make it where you can't pick certain props. So even if you have a really good, insight on a very good prop, they won't let you bet it. And that's just what I find it, a little annoying. You can only pick the obvious guys or like, and then if they give you certain players, I feel like if players aren't there, it's for a reason, you know. Yeah, Steven got 4.5. I think he'll be good with the half. I said that a couple. Yeah, he's got clipped a couple times. I told him, you know, and I mean we played dozens and dozens of games, but he had one earlier. Oh, yeah, Hard Rock's available now. Yep. So a lot of people are using that. They're just waiting to basically get all the right legislation in order, but I guess approved because they're already like set up. But yeah, the Steven had an under one. It was over. I'm sorry, I think or something. It was like 141, and it moved to 138. And so like 140 was good or 139 was good, but his 141 missed. Then it happened with a half a point on a couple games. It was just kind of crazy. So he's had some bad luck. So I'm hoping he gets I don't think Dartmouth. I think again, I think if 4.5 covers, I think if five covers, 4.5 will be good too. In this case, with this college game, just because clips happen, but like I said, to happen that many times, like I just can't imagine. I feel like you should be good for clips for a good while now. Atlanta minus 3.5. Yeah, that's why I like the money line. I could see this one moving back and forth a lot, just because there's going to be a lot of public action on that game. I think it's a playoff grudge match, so you could either have Atlanta run away with it, or you can have them win it at the buzzer with like a Trey Young type of deal. Yeah, you could tell by the pace a lot of times if they're shaving an over under, or if they're they'll drive down the field and then like they'll punt it like or they'll drive down the field and turn it over, or they'll just play at a pace that you can tell, yeah, okay, they're playing for the under this quarter, or for whatever the case may be. I've noticed that a lot with certain teams. But yeah, like I said, the only one I hadn't really gone into, I'm gonna go more in depth into. I went over all the basketball ones I like. Yeah, that kind of stuff. Running out of bounds. They'll be very specific when they decide to run out of bounds and when they decide not to. So yeah, we got the Clippers Pacers going on. It looks like it's on very close pace. The second quarter slowed down, so the over looking right on pace. Like it's gonna finish close, is what I'm saying. And then the ones coming up, yeah, love the Mavericks, like the Knicks, like the under on the Celtics, and I like the Hawks to win. If it's not too late to lock that one in. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was another one. He got the Heat. That was right before they announced the Jimmy Butler injury. He locked it in. I think it was like a one pointer, and then the next morning they announced not only was Jimmy hurt, but so was Duncan Robinson, and it flipped a +6 on him. Like I'm telling you, like some shitty stuff has happened to Steve. I feel real like stuff that usually happens to me that is happening to him. So I'm like, we all have bad stories, but I haven't. He's had some terrible ones. I don't understand how, and he's shown me like it's like, all right, I'm gonna go with this one, and then like 20 minutes later it flips. Like so, I just hope that things start like these clips stop happening because it's ridiculous, and they definitely do clip people on purpose, but like not people, but they clip games on purpose. It's just usually they're not all going to be clips. So I hope you don't get clipped for like a bit. Obviously, yeah, it's been pretty bad. Like, other people give me some stories, like, and they get clipped pretty bad once or twice. But his has been like four in a matter of a week, like the one game he happened to pick. Now the one thing is we are playing more games, so there's going to be more clips. But yeah, it's been pretty bad. So I'm just hoping Dartmouth easy win. College looking pretty good today. It looks like we split it, and like I said, I think we're 5 for 3 in the NFL. I think we finish around, honestly, I think we'll finish 7-4 after tonight, going into tonight's games, which will also be nice. Yeah, Portland, I thought I was a little, like I said, that one, maybe I should stay away from certain ones because I really like Portland. I'm usually have a good read on them, but again, I don't usually have a good read on the Nets. Based on how the game started, I figured, okay, if it finished close, that favors Portland. But yeah, so that one didn't seem to work out. The Spurs, total had 9 rebounds and the line was 9.5. Yeah, and they do that stuff all the time. Whether they'll get it just to put it over, or someone else will grab the rebound, or it'll bounce out of bounds. Oh yeah, they definitely rate the player props, and that's why they set them at a certain number. That's why I like if you can mess around with it. If you can, like, I have a thing on my book where I can build it, so I could technically bet Luca to get 5 points. I'm not going to get great odds, but I could be a little more modest, and okay, if they're going to clip Luca at the 29.5, I'll just pick him to get 26, and parlay it with, Dinwiddie to hit go over 1.5 threes instead of 2.5. So you can lower the odds on. There's a lot of things you can do on sports books, certain ones that FanDuel, DraftKings might not offer, and you could play more player props and stuff too. Yeah, so it won't be set in stone. I have a really cool feature. It's called Build One, and I can just build like a so if you think a game's gonna if we think a game a certain select players are going to hit threes, we don't have to say Dimwitty 2.5. I can lower it to 1.5. I can rise Luca up from 2.5 to 3.5 to get better odds and things like that. Okay, Rams got on the board. That's nice. Every point matters with the Rams because we got so many here. We want them to keep it relatively close, and we want to the clock to tick, of course. I have a good feeling on the Cardinals. I do. I'm glad I slept on that one because, like I said last night, I was. That's another thing I always try and do. I try and reassess situations. It is a 3 point game now, but at the same time, the Raiders went ahead and yeah, I see the Chargers made it 10-7. At the same time, the Raiders just looks like they took the lead. So it looks like it was yep, on this play they just took the lead. So we're up on Raiders. We only need four there, or we're getting four there. Cardinals looks like it'll be close, but I do think that the Cardinals finished that one out, and I like the Rams as well. So it's looking good. Surfing lines, yeah. Pretty soon you'll get wrestling too. I'm sure. I got wrestling in politics, which is awesome because again I cleaned up with war games. Some of these are just very obvious in my opinion, and wrestling's great to bet on. So I'll do more on them too. Yeah, the clips happened too. It landed on 218 at the buzzer. There was like the guy made three free throws to make it 216, 217, 218. And then, of course, an inbound, and then there was a dribble out. So there was never a 219. So we missed that one by half a point. So that's rough. It happens a lot, but I just try and take the good with the bad. But I'm gonna get my doggy out. The storm's calmed down, and I want to get her out while I can. But again, I know we're going out. We're going out. I do like the Niners tonight to cover. I really do. Yeah, I see the other Raiders took the lead, which was nice. I'm glad about that. And there's no other games I could think of. I will post if I think of something else. But yeah, the only one I could think of is the Niners tonight. I'll go into the Colts. I like the over already, but I like the Niners to cover that lead as well. So I'll check in with you guys in a bit. I appreciate everybody. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm sorry. I was thinking the nine. I don't know why I was thinking the Niners were tonight. They're playing right now. I still like the Niners. Green Bay, so I like tonight. Thanks for correcting me. Green Bay, I like to cover. I'm not going to go with the money line, but I do think that they cover on the Eagles. Thanks, I appreciate that. You guys are great. You make it awesome because it's more like a chill session versus some kind of like you know a crazy like serious matter. I just want it to be fun for us, but we can also go over some narratives and stuff too. That's why if anyone's got questions regarding a team, I always like to go over them. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. And Peter, thank you. Yeah, thank you guys for your time. You guys don't have to, stay here, but you do. Yeah, Dallas is leg three. Leg two was yesterday. They didn't hit, and my theory was okay. Basically playing that they cover one of the next two games, so the second game would be tonight for leg three. So definitely, that's what I'm doing. I already locked in most of it. I was trying to see, like you said, if we got to that 7 points, which we might, and then I was going to lock in the rest. But yeah, it's um it's at 8 o'clock, and I think that the Mavericks cover. But yeah, so thank you everyone that's in here in the Discord, always helping out and always making these live streams fun and go by quick. It's always good when you can just like you look up and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm 3 hours, because I feel like we're just having fun. We're not taking anything too seriously. Even when we lose, we understand we're going to get it back. And today we started off good, and it looks like we're going to finish strong too. And a lot of our narratives were on point too. So that looks good going forward. I'm going to do a video on college football too, going forward. The playoffs before the committee comes out and officially does whatever they do, because I think there's a lot of stories there. With it being the playoffs, I know there's going to be some shenanigans. So if there's anything you want specifically covered, also let me know, and you can always comment. If you want me to go into a specific team or something, I definitely will. I just try and go into what I feel like is going to help you guys the most: picks, narratives, that kind of stuff. 6.5. Yep, they moved that half a point. We talked about that. They might move to 7 if they want to get people on Dallas, but 6.5 is nice because now 6 doesn't push. So it might not move the other half, but it'd be nice if they did. Oh, no problem, man. Thank you guys. You guys are great. I like, I can't go live unless you guys are here, asking questions, talking, and enjoying it. So it's for me. It's when we go live. It's more of just a think tank. We can also do it in the Discord, which is fun too. So, but I want to get it set up soon where we could do some watch alongs, or I got some highlights where I can kind of show you as we're doing it, so you're not just staring at me the whole time. But at the same time, I'm just kind of getting acquainted with this. So I want to be able to get down, make sure. I think it's OPS. I can use OBS, and we'll be able to actually watch the games through my sports book, and then we'll be able to see this shit in live action, like the sacks that we can see coming, or all that stuff, the comebacks, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, thank you guys. I do appreciate everything. I appreciate doing. I like going live. I would do it more often. I just know you guys have busy lives, so I try and reserve it for kind of in between the games on towards the end of the 1 o'clock. But if you want me to do it at night one time, just let me know, or earlier, let me know, and I can certainly do that. Night would be cool. Uh, I feel like wouldn't be as much going on. But take care, everybody, and happy earnings. I think we finished strong today.